conference is being recorded.
Hi, this is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch. It is April 15th, 2013, and this is the Monday night meeting for Global Skywatch. Tonight, it's your chemtrail story. We're going to have a number of people telling stories about how they've experienced chemtrails, what it's done to them, what they've witnessed, and all this information is important because we are trying to teach the public what's going on with chemtrails. Before we get started, I do have a few agenda items I want to go over very quickly. Let me just start at the top and let you know that this meeting the purpose of this meeting is to coordinate our projects, to develop new projects, and to continue educating the public about geoengineering and chemtrails, and also to talk network support and to help each other. If you want to go to and follow along with the agenda, or you want to see our official page for this Monday night meet, let me just fit this in before we go any further. You can go to globalskywatch.com/live. If you want to watch the live stream, you can go to our live stream page. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that page and make sure we're live now. And yes, it does appear that it is working. You can go to Global. There we go. Good. I just tested that. The way you get there is to go to GSW, as in Global Skywatch, gsw.bz, the letter B like boy, Z like zebra, gsw.bz/live. And when you go to that address, you will immediately be looking at the live stream. If you log into live stream, you'll have to create an account, which is very quick and easy with live stream. You'll be able to use the chat window as well. And in fact, I'm going to log into that real quick and make sure that I can monitor the chat here.
You go to that address.
Hold on. Okay. This is all brand new this week, so just bear with me for a second in case all right. I think we're good. All right, good. Yes, I'm in the chat room next to the live stream. So if you want to chat, go ahead and chat in that chat room. You'll have to log in or create an account with Livestream in order to do that. There was no other way we could get a chat room live without a little bit of trouble. You just have to log in, create an account with Livestream. So please do that, and then you can be in the chat room. It's very easy to do. They'll send you a valid verification email when you sign up with Livestream, and then you'll be able to enter the chat room that's next to the streaming video. Once again, GSW stands for Global Skywatch, gsw.bz/live, and you can watch the live stream. It should be a very clear, perfectly audible stream that shouldn't have any problems. We tested it all day yesterday, put a lot of time into it, checked out every aspect of it, and it was working perfectly in our tests. So let's hope it goes well tonight. All right, let me get through the agenda items real quick, and then we'll get down to letting everybody speak. Our website, of course, is globalskywatch.com. If you want to find our group on Facebook, you can go to globalskywatch.com and click the Visit Our Facebook Group link. That's the easiest way to do it. We send out reminders by a Wigio group. If you want to receive weekly reminders about events and about this meeting, you can join Wigio, WIGGIO.com, and look for the Global Skywatch group. Join it, and you'll be notified every week of meetings. I want to let you know that we have a few projects currently in the making. These projects are to help new people be exposed to chemtrails. The most important one to us right now is the End Geoengineering project. We have 2 End Geoengineering signs that you can put in your yard signs you can put in your front yard. We have 46 signs currently out there, and we want to get a whole lot more. The success of this is completely up to you. If you want to put an End Geoengineering sign in your front yard, please visit globalskywatch.com and then click the projects link in the top, and then go to the End Geoengineering project page. End Geoengineering bumper stickers had arrived last week, as I mentioned, and they were not printed properly, and I'm picky about those things, so I called the company and they agreed to reprint them and to do them correctly this time. So they had some kind of glitch in their system, so they're going to be coming in any day now, and those will be available as well. If you have a project you'd like to propose, please contact Global Skywatch. You can contact me at admin, at globalskywatch.com. A couple things I want to make you aware of. We've got a couple upcoming events. April 20th, 2013, which is a couple Saturdays away. Australian and New Zealand geoengineering protest. They're inviting everybody to make this a global event. It's on a Saturday if you'd like to participate. April 24th, the San Francisco City Hall protests, or demonstration as we prefer to call them. They're inviting everybody to make this a global event, and we are pushing, helping, encouraging everybody who is organizing an event or wants to organize an event and call people to their area. A week from tonight, we will be having a meeting, and every organizer who calls in who wants to talk, to solicit people to come to their event or to help organize, call in, and we'll broadcast this all and help us get all organized for the 24th. That's a Wednesday, and anytime during the day, these things can take place anywhere around the world. So I encourage everybody to consider getting a couple friends together and going to the county building, to the courthouse, to a busy street, and gather, have some, snacks or whatever, make it a nice, fun social event. Everybody I've talked to who's gone to these events have loved it, and they're going to go to every one that comes up next. So don't think this is some strange, scary thing. It is a wonderful event that everybody enjoys. That's April 20th in San Francisco. It's going to be at 11 a.m. at the San Francisco City Hall. But a week from Monday, we're going to, that's a week from tonight, we're going to have anyone who's organizing one of the events on this program. You're welcome to call in, and we will get you on so that you can get people organized in your area. We're going to do everything we can. If you need other types of help or web help or whatever, feel free to contact us at Global Skywatch, and we'll be more than happy to help. A couple last minute items. I've got a caller calling in by Skype in just a minute, so I need to time this right. We're going to have several speakers tonight, so I want to make sure this all goes the way it's supposed to. And it's all going to be on a tight schedule, so let's hope it all goes well. Tonight, there's a new link in the Global Skywatch menu. If you go to globalskywatch.com, at the top there's the test results repository. We made a forum system where you can test scans of your own test results for water, rainwater, drinking water, blood tests, dust tests, and you can post them yourself, and we encourage everybody to go there and post them. If you have any trouble or you don't know how to block out your address from the test or your name, just contact us at Global Skywatch. We'll be happy to help you with that, but we do encourage you to post your tests. Okay, we also are getting people together who have skills. We have somebody who burns DVDs. If you need DVDs burned, he'll do it just for the cost of the DVDs. There's no labor involved. He wants to help out. We have someone who writes songs and needs lyrics about chemtrails. We have someone who proofreads articles. We have other people as well who can do voiceovers and other things, who are making their services available to any of you for free. So if you have a need in your education efforts to educate the public about geoengineering and chemtrails, contact us at Global Skywatch, and we'll hook you up with a person who can help you, who has the skill, who can help you. Or if you have a skill you want to donate for free, contact us and we'll put you on the list. We're eventually going to have a public list. No names will be displayed, but you'll be able to contact anonymously people so that we can contact each other and be very efficient about getting these things done. Also, we want your chemtrail story. Tonight we're going to be telling chemtrail stories, and this is going to be recorded. This is going to be played live. This video can also be edited and taken out, put into other videos that can be distributed. So when you talk tonight, the words you say are going to have a big impact, and they're going to travel far and wide, and they're going to be available on the Global Skywatch Monday Night Meet page, on the archive recordings page. And this will be up probably about between 1 and 3 a.m. this morning. Everything we're talking about tonight will be available. So uh, let's see. We also want to do your chemtrail story in 5 to 15 minute phone conversations where we will record that, and then we'll have a whole separate section on our website. We actually already do. If you go to globalskywatch.com and click My Chemtrail Story, there's a section right there where you can um, post your chemtrail story. You can send in text, and we'll post your text story there. Or if you want to talk, which is something that I probably prefer, it's much easier and it's much more likely to get listened to. We can have a phone conversation for 5 to 15 minutes, and you can tell your story, and we will have those stories available in that special section. Tonight, we're going to have a conglomeration of stories so everybody gets a chance to talk, and then afterward, we'll talk together. Now, with perfect timing, I'm getting a Skype call from our first speaker tonight. We're live on the air. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, I'm finishing up our agenda. So give me just a second.
Sure. Sorry, the latency is so bad.
Yeah, there's going to be a 30 to 60 second latency when you're watching the live stream. So give me just a second here and just listen to me on Skype. Let me just finish up the agenda, which we're just about finished with. Yeah, go ahead.
Which one should I mute?
Go ahead and mute. Go ahead and pause the live stream and
Okay.
only listen to Skype.
All right.
Got it?
Done.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, good. The last agenda item before we get down to talking to My Chemtrail Story people who want to talk about this is the just a quick overview. This week, I get a lot of reports about what's going around the country. Few reports have come in where they've had days and no spraying at all. Generally, spraying has been very heavy around the United States. I haven't gotten too many European reports in the past couple days, but spraying has generally been exceptionally heavy in most places that have reported. So just to keep everybody up on that. All right. Once again, if you want to join us for this Monday night meet, this is sponsored by globalskywatch.com, and everyone is welcome to participate. We're going to have a series of callers, speakers tonight who are going to share their chemtrail experiences. We're going to move along quickly, but get as much information in as we can. So the first person I'd like to introduce, I'm going to let him mostly introduce himself, but this is Rob. He has, we've spoken on and off for quite a while now, and he's got some background. I see you've got a microphone there. In fact, let me see if I can. You mind if I put your picture on the live stream?
Oh, go ahead.
Is that
I combed my
hair. All right, there we go. Let me see if I can get your picture on the stream. All right, so people looking at the live stream should be able to see you.
I just plugged in my mic too.
All right, perfect, perfect.
So you can hear me, obviously.
Yeah, that's a nice mic too, huh?
Yeah, it's one of these. I got it from the Apple store. I use it for the show.
Perfect. Okay.
All
right.
I just thought of it this minute to use it. So.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone? Let me make sure our audio is looking good. Let's see here.
How do you maximize the call window again?
You mean the video, or what do you mean?
Well, when I went to turn off the audio on the live stream window, it minimized the Skype call window, and I don't see how to.
It's probably.
Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Got it. Okay. It's probably down at the bottom of the screen there. Were you listening to the audio just before you called in?
Yeah, but I was listening to live stream audio, and so when I called in, it threw me because
of the delay.
Got through to you on Skype, it's 30-second difference.
Okay. Did the audio sound good on live stream?
Yeah.
Good. That's what I'm looking for. This is the first day we're using live stream, aside from our test yesterday. Tell you what, Rob, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and why you're here.
Well, my name's Rob Spear, and I'm from Binghamton, New York. That's upstate New York, where I began a alternative news show about 12 years ago after I woke up to 9/11 being a suspicious story. And it kind of opened Pandora's box. Chemtrails being among all of the clandestine activities that I discovered being perpetrated by the New World Order. And so I've been following the chemtrails story. Um, I'm trying to turn people on to them, convince people that they are indeed what we know them to be, and not contrails. And for all this time, and just other things, I like today's something just come up. I spent the whole day organizing my next News and Blues. I do a show called News and Blues, and it comes out of primarily the Portland, Maine community television network, CTN5, and ctn5.org. And I usually have at least one chemtrails video, and at this point, there's quite a few chemtrails videos that have been produced that are very good quality. Like what are they spraying, and why the hell are they spraying? Michael Murphy, Dana Wigington. You saw last week's Dane Wigington clip. And so I try to cover that as often as I can. I also cover vaccine, poisonous vaccines, false flag terrorism. Like today, we got another one, and now we'll probably, sorry to say, we probably won't be able to go to a baseball game without being groped and fondled by the TSA from this point on. This is an orchestrated series of events that they've been putting together to bring it down on top of us, just bring in a police state. And it looks like they're getting ready to bring down some financial problems too right now. We're getting ready for a financial collapse or some kind of a cataclysm. You see the precious metals prices being very volatile right now. Silver and gold just took a dive, and the stock market has gone up. So if you've got money in the stock market, get it out, get it in something safe, and buy. The gold and silver is getting really cheap right now, and it's only temporary. I'd say get out of any paper money and buy gold and silver. But I feel like the chemtrails issue is one of my pet issues, and I just really angry. Like today, Easter Sunday was a good example. Recently I got up, and it was just, we're all looking forward to those beautiful days, the spring days. And you get up in the morning, the sky is blue, there's a promise of a beautiful spring day, and then you can see those trails, they're lines in the morning, and by midday they're all fanned out and feathered over and hazed over. And I frequently pester the local weathermen, meteorologists. Just the other day I wrote a nasty gram to. I wasn't really that nasty, but I just told the local weatherman in an email, "Boy, you guys better get ready to face some angry citizens once they catch you on to you're covering this up," because they still refer to them as clouds. And if you call yourself a meteorologist, you've got to be aware that something's not right, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they know. I mean, I've spoken with Dane Wigington many times, who appeared in all of Michael Murphy's films about chemtrails and geoengineering, and he's convinced, and I agree with him. They all know you can't be a meteorologist and look at the sky and not see that something is really far out, really strange, and really wrong. It's just not possible. In fact, we think, and I'm convinced of this too, that really many, many more people know in professional fields like meteorology or physics, or many of the scientists. They know about this, I think, but they've got to keep their jobs, and
Yeah.
so they're in a tough position. They can't really speak out about it.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. It's a tough call, obviously, but I haven't been able to find a job for 3 years. But so I mean, that gives me an excuse to throw everything into this. And since it's ongoing, and they're not letting up, and they're spending millions and billions of dollars still on this. Um, I'm just to the point where the boiling point where I'm going to stretch myself even farther, and I'm putting out a call for volunteers uh, to help me put on a demonstration in Portland, Maine. I was thinking about doing it down at Monument Square or something like that down here in Portland, Maine, and get people carrying signs and bring it out in the open, and hopefully we can get on the mainstream news and embarrass some of these meteorologists.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
well,
my
when do you think you want to have this? Do you have a date in mind? I mean, we're talking a lot
I
about the.
do not.
Okay.
I do not. As I told you earlier, Russ, I'm new to this. I'm a little anxious about it, apprehensive about even proposing this. But I figured I'd put my address, contact information out there, and let people contact me if they're in Southern Maine and they feel like they can make it down to Portland, Maine, like say on a Saturday coming up, sometime in the near future, and make some signs, bring a bullhorn or two,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's pretty. The thing is I've talked to several protest organizers now, and it's amazingly easy. I mean, basically,
yeah,
in the state of Maine, it probably is similar in all the states. You don't need a permit unless it's 100 people, I believe. Then you need a permit, and you just basically go wherever you're going to go, and you just don't want to obstruct traffic. You don't want to cause any problems. Some people have said it's nice to let the police know, just call them and saying we're going to have some people here with signs, and just to let you know, that we're going to be here, so you're aware. They appreciate that. Um, and but it's
yeah,
really,
that's a good idea.
yeah, yeah, and that's really the tips that people give me. It's just like it's as simple as that. And one thing, a couple dates coming up, I will mention to people, and you may want to think about this too, Rob. And I know you've got you've got your show. You do a lot of video editing and stuff. But the 20th and the 24th are the two big dates that are coming up. The 20th is the New Zealand.
Yeah, 420.
Yeah, yeah. The 20th is if you go to the globalskywatch.com and you look at the global events calendar, click the link at the top. It has all kinds of. April's the busiest month we've ever had for demonstrations and events by far. It's just taken off. So what we have on the 20th is the New Zealand and Australian chemtrail awareness groups are having uh, protests on that Saturday, and they're calling for everybody around the world to join them. And then the San Francisco group is calling on the 24th, which is a Wednesday, for people around the world to join them as well. So you can pick your days, go both days. If anyone is listening and you want to have a demonstration, it's very simple, fun, easy. People love the social aspect of it, and they feel very empowered when they do it. So just anyone listening, don't be afraid, don't be timid about it. Just do it and enjoy the fact that you have the power to go reach the public. It's much better than sitting behind your computer all day. Take some of that time and get out and reach people who haven't seen it. And for goodness sake, get a bumper sticker on your car or a sticky in your window or a yard sign, because you're going to reach people who aren't being otherwise reached. So Rob, those are the two dates that a lot of people are uh, looking for to have demonstrations on, the 20th and the 24th.
Well, the people that live out west anyway, right?
Well,
I mean,
everybody.
basically,
Yeah,
what
anybody. I
what can
mean,
you do? I mean, maybe I'm missing something here. Are you suggesting any way to participate if you're not in the physical geographic area, or
yes, the way
uh,
you participate is you go buy some poster board, make up a sign, and go down to the county building or alongside a highway.
I see. Yeah, okay, I get you.
Yeah, because we're at the
Kind of.
point right now where we need new groups. We need people who've never done this before to say, "Hey, I live in whateverville, Montana, and Montana's beautiful. I've been there a couple times. I live in wherever I live. I'm gonna do this." And if people
Well, I
want
was
to,
thinking more in terms of a big planned out thing, but maybe I'm getting too thinking of, thinking too much about it, and maybe you're right. I just grab a sign and go down there, and it might grow from there. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
On the other hand, I just want to put out before I leave you, I want to put out my email address. So, who is ever listening out there and they're in Southern Maine, get a hold of me and let's put something together where I can be sure to get the maximum amount of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and plug your show? Give them your email address and the location where you would like to get something together, and let's get some people in that area to contact you.
Yeah, well, Portland, Maine, and my show is called News and Blues, and it's also on it's on CTN 5. That's Channel 5 on Time Warner cable system, and it's a 1 hour show, and it's usually on either at 7 p.m. or 10 p.m. And it's on Hollis, Maine, and Gorham, Maine, their little networks as well. But the big one there is the Portland station, right, where we get the most viewership. But my email address is my name is Rob Spear, and my email address is rspear. That's R as in Sam, P as in Paul, EER 88 at gmail.com. That's my name, Rob Spear, with two E's. RSPEER 88 at gmail.com. Give me a shout if you live in the area and you think you'd be able to make it up to Maine or Portland on a Saturday, coming up here on a Saturday sometime. And maybe we will be able to get out there on those dates that you mentioned for sort of an impromptu demonstration. But maybe we could organize something a little bigger, a little more powerful for it, because I'm planning to call the media. And I don't know if I'd want to do that. I want to call the TV stations, and so they'll have cameras out there, and that would give us a lot of exposure if we could get on those local TV news reports. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great to get some media out there. But the nice thing is the way that this is starting up right now is that people are just going out there. In fact, in Maine here, we had one woman who's actually on our chat room right now who went out there. She went by herself, had a poster and a little thing to hold her poster in a chair, and sat out in front of the county courthouse, put a sign on the back of
yeah,
her car. And I think that is awesome. I mean, that is how it
that's
starts.
I applaud that sort of activism.
And that's how it
As a matter of
starts.
fact, I see so many sheeple and people who don't care. Just it blows my mind to see people that do care. But it almost feels like they're scattered about all over the place, and I'm totally isolated from everybody. But I won't keep you. There's probably other people on the line wanting to speak. But like I say, Southern Maine, you want to get together and do something. Get some exposure here, some visibility, raise awareness here in Portland, Maine. Get a hold of me, Rob Spear, at rspear88 at gmail.com.
All right, so it's RSPEER at gmail.com.
Well, the number 88.
Oh, 88 afterwards. Sorry about that. Yeah.
rspear88.
Okay, perfect. Well,
Gmail.
yeah, I hope that
and
go ahead. I'm sorry.
News and Blues, name of the show.
And how do they view that again?
I've done a show down there. I did it in Binghamton for like 8 years. I went down to Asheville, North Carolina, did it down there for 2 years. And they were spraying down there too. I did a lot of shows featuring chemtrails stories while I was in Asheville. And they were really hammering them down there too when I was there. And I went down to Florida for a while, but they didn't have a station down there for my show. So I came back up here to Maine and started doing it up here again.
Well, I hope we can. I hope you and I can get together sometime, and if I can help out with your show. I mean, I know you've been doing the video show for a long time, but if there's anything
I spoke to you like 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that's when we first started making contact. But I would love to contribute anything I can because I'm really sensitive to stuff. I smell and taste it. I have headaches today. They sprayed us really hard this afternoon. I've had a headache. My business partner's had a headache all afternoon from it. I'm suffering a lot of other ways. And I think if we start teaching the public how all these symptoms occur when spraying occurs, it might help, get some people involved in caring about it,
Yeah, because that's one of the problems too. They don't make the connection between the chemtrails and the symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. I hope we can get together in the future, and I hope you'll consider calling next Monday night for your final call if you decide to do something on the 24th. That if you do, feel free to call in and try to get some people involved if they haven't contacted you between now and then. But in the meantime, I really do encourage people to contact Rob, and let's get something going in Portland, Maine. Big area. Rob might be able to get some media out there to cover. Or at least you'll probably give it a try, right, Rob?
Well, absolutely. That's one of the my big goals in doing this, because I've always kind of thought, well, carrying signs and it's not very effective. And being on television. I mean, mainstream TV is such a mainstream conventional medium that it's that medium that you never see anything that's unconventional, and to have public access. And another thing I like to say is I encourage anybody out there, go to your local public access or make inquiries. Go to pegmedia.org. Pegmedia. That stands for Public, Educational, and Governmental. That's what they call public access. Is PEG, PEG. And there's like a whole. It's a server, pegmedia.org, where they hold all of these shows, hundreds of programs. A lot of them are silly nonsense, but public access TV is a huge resource. It's very, very underused, I think, especially in light of all the things that need to be exposed. So think about starting your own show or make inquiries and try to get my show on your local PEG station.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd love to help out however I can too. I'm sure we'll talk again.
Sure.
Kim, who's the woman in Maine, she's messaging me saying that they're having a march against Monsanto. In fact, she's Skyping me. Let me pull the Skype down into my regular window here and see if I can get a hold of her. See if she wants to be
Yeah,
brought in.
I just noticed all these messages coming up. Of course, everything tonight was totally different than it was last week, right?
Yeah, this is all new. This whole new
Yeah.
streaming setup and everything. So I'm getting used to the whole new system, and so it's a little. Plus, we're
Do
having.
you have do you have these little like circles like not available? When they cross something out on the left side of the little message here. I don't get that. It looks like it's like crossed out or something or deleted. The way they
What's it look like, a camera or something, or a
well,
little?
the symbol with the circle and the line through it in red.
Oh, that's just their icon.
Oh, that's their particular icon for that
Yeah,
Kim for Kim.
yeah, that's for Kim. In fact, Kim, let me see if I can. Let me see if she's on Skype. I'll see if I can get her on here real quick just to give that to you, and then we'll move on to other people. Um,
She's trying to talk to me, I guess. And
well, I'm going to give her a call.
anyway, hopefully she's written down my email address. And that to me, see, I'm kind of a dinosaur when it comes to all of this computer stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Kim, you there?
oh yeah.
Hey, we're kind of getting you on last minute here as kind of a surprise. You wanted to tell Rob something, so want to go ahead and we're live, so go ahead and let him know.
Oh yes. Rob, I wanted to let you know that on the 27th we're going to be doing. Well, actually, we're sharing a demonstration because I couldn't find anybody by the end of the month to prepare for chemtrail awareness.
Yeah,
So I'm going to be actually jumping on the wagon with the GMO folks down in Portland on the 27th at 2:00. Didn't know if you wanted to go.
Oh, GMO is another big issue for me. Cover it whenever I can. Yeah, absolutely. Can we get more specific later on? You got my email address, right?
There's actually a link that I can post. Do you belong to the Facebook group?
No, that's like I said. I'm not really into Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I do have a Facebook page, but I really hate all of that kind of stuff, because tell you the truth, I think it's a big tool of the intelligence agencies. They like to find out everything about us.
Well, Kim,
It is.
yeah,
You're
Kim,
welcome to come.
But anyway, just shoot me an email. That's my easiest way.
yeah, Kim, just send him an email. Do you have his email address?
I don't. Let me take a minute.
Well, if you got mine, I'll get yours when you get me get one to me. I'll have yours.
Yeah, then you two could Skype and coordinate that. And if there's anything that we can do, you let me know.
Okay.
Okay, it's R Spear, RSPEER 88.
RSPHER.
No H.
No, but
R
actually,
Spear.
Yep.
With 2 E's. R Spear. R
Oh.
S is in Sam, P is in Paul.
Okay.
EER 88.
Okay.
At Gmail.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Got you.
All right.
I'm gonna get off the horn, give somebody else a chance to
All right.
sound off.
Rob, I hope let's talk again soon, and let's. I want to keep up with
Definitely.
you. What's going on? Because you've got some interesting things with video going on there, and
Yeah,
I
I
really
definitely want to get up and see you some one of these days, Russ.
yeah, we're not that far away. Maybe I'll come down there and have a dinner in Portland one night. Treat myself. I haven't had a vacation in years, so.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for being on. Let's talk again soon.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, Kim.
Same here as well. Thank you, Rob.
All right, Kim. Thanks so much, Kim. Thanks for everything that you do and all the stuff that you've done in Maine. I was truly inspired by your one-woman effort out there. You were just fantastic.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was Rob catching up on what's going on with him. He kind of covered a lot, kind of a wide variety of subjects, and I want to move right along now. Let me see if I can get our next speaker on here. So let's see. Give me just a second. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Q&A mode.
Q&A session started.
All right. Quan, if you're on, please press *6 on your phone, and that will allow me to identify which caller you are. And if Quan isn't on with us right now, then we'll jump ahead to our next My Chemtrail story. So Quan, if you're on, just hit *6 on your phone, and that'll identify you so that I can get you live here. Still looking. I'm not seeing you pop in the queue. So maybe you weren't able to make it. Maybe you'll come in late. Whatever happens, that's fine. All right, that's fine. No problem. Tell you what, then. We have Mark. Let me turn Q&A mode off here real quick.
Q&A session is over.
All right. Mark, well, actually, let me do
Q&A
this.
session started.
Mark, go ahead and hit if you can, hit *6 to put yourself in the queue so I can identify you on our phone console. And let's hear your story. There you are.
Okay, can you hear me?
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. Just clearing a little chemtrail phlegm out of my lungs before I start talking.
Yeah, tell me about it. Been a bad day here with that iron-type chemtrails giving us all headaches and a bunch of other symptoms. What's going on with you?
Oh, I just thought that was the first speaker, Rob. What an inspiring activist he is. Wow. Because those kind of things bring us all up a notch, I think. And one thing I'm discovering for myself, before I can tell you a quick little story here, is that there seems to be like a niche that we can all find. At least it seems to be true of me. A niche in our activities that we can focus on, and where I seem to be funneling towards, where I think I will serve the best purpose, is to do newspaper articles. I just submitted my second newspaper article today to our local county newspaper, which gets out beyond the county, and that way everybody ends up reading about it. And it's a follow-up to one that I did last August, and I'm thinking, I notice every now and then in our paper that people from other places get published in the letters to the editor, which makes me believe that some people have nothing better to do in life than to espouse their political beliefs and just shoot them out all over the United States. Well, if I can find out how to do that, I'd like to start shooting out information about geoengineering. And if anybody has anything that they could offer about that, I'd be happy to hear about it. Because so far I've just taken on our local newspaper, but there are these little papers all around the country, and I think that'd be a good inroad. So with that aside, my story is more of an observation lately. I spend quite a bit of time watching these jets fly around here. I'm at 5,000 feet, and so I get a pretty good view with my binoculars of what's going on. Altitudes, speeds, all-day persistent trails, semi-persistent trails, non-persistent trails. And one thing that became very apparent to me on Saturday, I've got this on, I've got the flight tracker, I took pictures of my computer screen. I've got photographs of it. I've been noticing a lot of passenger planes, what looks like passenger planes flying around here on Saturday. And I don't know if these are actually coming from the airlines or if the military is using them, but there was a ton of passenger aircraft spraying. Here's what happens. Usually the planes go in a straight line. We don't get too much curvature around here. Well, I'm sitting in my office looking to the west, and here comes a plane spraying the classic chemtrail. Just classic as could be, with the little danglies hanging down, which is an indication of aluminum and other heavy metals in it. And it's flying straight like it's headed toward Phoenix. Then all of a sudden, it makes a sharp left 45-degree bank and made this spray coming toward the house. And I thought, I wonder if I can pick this plane up on SkyTrack, on the flight tracking. Well, first I took a picture of its chemtrail to verify it to the west. I got on SkyTracker, and lo and behold, that exact airplane's altitude, speed, and its identification was Southwest Airlines. And that was one of many planes that I recorded that day. There's a company called WestJet. I think it's, WestJet. I took pictures of my computer screen on that on the flight tracking. And what's interesting about WestJet is they show the plane painted with the same exact paint scheme as Southwest Airlines. And WestJet, I think, says it's located in Canada. So I don't know if the military, like I say, is using these paint schemes to hide their planes. And by the way, one of the planes I picked up, the transponder read 000. Now, other days when they're spraying here, just hardcore X's in the sky, the crisscross pattern everywhere, the crisscross, those are almost always military jets. They fly very high and very fast. Passenger jets don't seem to fly quite up to the speed and the altitude that the military jets do. But, I don't know, it's just, you can't help but look at this stuff. Now that we're tuned into it, I mean, you just can't go outside and not look at the sky. Mm-hmm. And after doing this for a year, 2 years, year and a half now, it just keeps clicking into place more and more and more. And, a lot of it's just observation, and we don't have a definitive answer to the problem. But we are getting wise to these people. And, like I read some months ago that, in fact, somebody even drew a diagram of a passenger jet, how these tanks could be put underneath the seats, in the belly of the airplane. And maybe not even to the pilot's knowledge that if they can fly a drone remotely, they can certainly open a valve remotely on these tanks. So my original thought was that the passenger jets were just spraying the non-persistent chemtrails, just to give us a light dose of poison as they flew by to, say, hi, we're here, and suck on this for a while. But after this Saturday and Sunday, I mean, these jets were leaving. I mean, I could see the blue tail, just as plain as day, that it said Southwest Airlines. I couldn't read the writing, but it's the exact color scheme of that airline's plane. And it was leaving a totally persistent chemtrail. Oh, the other thing that they're doing more of, when they fly, we're a little populated area. Some of these jets seem to be going they're all going from point A to point B to point C. But if they're not doing a persistent chemtrail, and it's like a small to moderate dissipating chemtrail, when they fly over our town, they'll turn on the jets the tank, whatever they're spraying, wide open, and leave a persistent segment right over our town, knowing that it's going to hang over us. And that went on all day as well. And so...
So how does it feel to know you're being targeted?
Oh, it got me write another article for the newspaper. When I wrote that one last August, I thought, okay, I've given everybody up here a heads up. And if they want to run with it, fine. If they don't, fine. And I've been debating with myself, should I go and do a second article? Well, after what happened this weekend, I just sat down and I fired it up. And I sent you a copy of it. You seemed to think it was fine, so I went ahead and printed it like it was. But I want to start doing these elsewhere. I really do. Because a lot of people still read, especially in small towns. Like in big cities, there might be more protests going on, physical protests like in San Francisco where it can be exposed. But these small towns, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people, we kind of got our heads in the sand to some extent relative to the big city. But they do have one of their forms of entertainment is their local newspaper. So if I can start slipping articles in there and just, waking people up, because, the movement is growing. I think I mentioned to you, Russ, about putting the Google Alert Chemtrail.
Yeah.
So once a day, whenever Google will summate everything that it came across that people have put in as a search term or whatever on chemtrails, and I get it. And my gosh, it used to be one, 2 hits a day, maybe one day with nothing. Now I'm getting 8, 9, 10 hits a day on chemtrails.
Really?
So, yeah, things are growing. And by the way, those hits give you links to take you other places that you may not have known about, other people doing some things that, there's a guy named, I just can't think of his name right now, but he's got a radio show where he talks about chemtrails, and it is growing. The movement's growing. We just got to keep talking. We got to keep, like I said, my venue's newspapers, people with signs, we can all put bumper stickers, etc., and the signs in front of our house. So I just high fives for everybody, man, because we're getting the word out. We are getting the word out. And people, somebody might ask, well, what the hell are you doing this for? What are you telling us this for? This is all this thing. I'm saying, look, if this stuff is in fact making us sick, you need to start doing your own investigation to find out how you could counteract these heavy metal toxins you're taking into your system. Because, people don't feel, we get older. Obviously, I'm 63 now. I don't look like I did when I was 20, but I changed so slowly. You don't really notice it until you look at a picture. Well, that's what these chemtrails are doing to our health. They're just very, very slowly degrading our health to cut into our lifespan, to cut into our daily well-being, blah, blah, blah. It's that, you know what I'm saying. It's just a very slow process. And we've got to be hip to that, and we've got to get on it. And, like, your Herbalur's got a lot of products that are available to help detox us. I mean, and I guess one of the more radical means would be through chelation therapy. So that's what I tell people. Like, what are you telling me this for? Well, if you start to get sick and you notice your family's getting sick, you need to think about doing something about it. Just not just lay down and die. So anyway, that's my little talk. And
well, you had an interesting event take place real quick when you called the local Air Force base, didn't you? A while back.
Yeah, when we first learned about chemtrails, I don't know, it was a year or so ago maybe. My wife called Edwards Air Force Base and said, totally innocently, and just said, "Is that the story you're talking about, Russ?"
Yep.
Where my wife called Edwards Air Force Base, played naive, and said, these lines, there's all these white lines in the sky, and I'm just curious of what they might be. And the first lady, the lady that answered the phone at Edwards Air Force Base said, "We were told not to talk to people on the phone about this issue." But she said there is somebody else she could talk to. And she finally got to somebody on the base, a third handoff. A male came on the phone, and my wife said, well, I'm just calling to inquire about these white lines in the sky. My husband's a pilot, and he feels that these lines are kind of lined up with your air base. Is there anything to this? What's going on here? And the guy very arrogantly stated that, "Oh, you mean chemtrails?" And my wife goes, "Oh, is that what they're called?" So he went on to, to try to convince her that don't worry about it, just water vapor. They're really contrails, and blah, blah, blah. To give her, and he really didn't want to talk to her much about it. So the summary of that phone call was that, number one, we're not supposed to talk to you about it, but number two, what we do, they're called chemtrails. And so, it's so obvious, man. I mean, if people can't see what's going on, they're not going to be able to see. It's amazing they can tie their own shoe.
Yeah.
It is 100% obvious that there's something weird going on in the skies.
Right. Right. Well, that's cool. That's the thing. I think a lot more people know about this than who are really admitting it. And I would encourage people to not shy away from calling public officials, calling your local media, They may pretend they don't know or don't care, but I don't believe they don't know or don't care. I think that many more than you think are having their eyes open. They're just not really letting you know right now. So keep it coming and keep going. I mean, what do you think, Mark?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, anything anybody can do. Okay, you've heard of, I don't know, do you guys have a dollar store, that chain called the Dollar Store out there?
Yep.
Okay, well, one of the big events at Canap on Sunday, because everything's closed, the dollar store's open. So I told my wife, just to get out of the house, let's go, get some toilet paper, whatever, let's go to the dollar store. Well, the lady that manages it, she's all plugged up. She's just like, "Oh, man, I've never been this clogged up." Well, like I mentioned, Saturday and Sunday, we got plowed. We got hammered, nailed to the cross. X's, I mean, big, thick plumes everywhere. I said, there may be an answer for this misery you're feeling right now. And I walked her out of the store and I said, look straight up. And directly over the dollar store was like a triple X. I mean, a thick triple X against a blue sky. And at that point, I proceeded to tell her what's going on. You know, and so anything you tell one person, it's going to leave an impression on them.
Yeah, it really does. We just need to be telling everyone we can, and it really makes more of an impression. Even if, and especially, I think when people pretend that they're not listening or they're not interested, I think those are the people who really, some of the time, if not half the time, those are the people who are listening the most. They're just a little too proud or a little too afraid to admit it. But hey, so, somebody on the chat had a question for you. Shelley was asking you, Mark, does Mark get sick or smell odors when they spray?
I've got tinnitus, the ringing in the ears.
Tinnitus?
I can tell when I spray at night because my ears ring louder when I wake up in the morning. So that's my little alarm that something's not right in my system. My wife is becoming a smeller of them. My nose maybe isn't quite as good as it used to be, but my wife, on these heavy days, she swears she smells ozone outside. And I asked Russ about it tonight, and he lended some credibility to that notion that there is a chemtrail. So personally, I'm affected in my ears, and I try to stay physically active enough to where I can sweat some of this junk out of my system, and I'm trying to keep it at bay. So it's not putting me down in a big way, but I don't like my ears ringing. I really don't like my ears ringing at all, and I'm pretty sure it's from the chemtrails.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I could go on and on. I'll tell you. Well, all right. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate all that, and you're here with us, week after week, and I really appreciate all that you do. So thanks for contributing.
Yeah, thank you, Russ.
All right. Well, you have a good night, and we'll move along to our next caller. Thanks, Mark.
All righty.
All right. I'm still looking for Kwan. Kwan was going to be on second tonight. If she's on here, please press *6 on your phone, or if you want to watch the live stream, or if you're on the live stream, you won't be able to talk right away. You can always Skype me, but I think you were going to call in. The live stream, for people who want to reach it, is GSW, stands for Global Skywatch.bz, like boy zebra, /live, LIVE. So GSW, like Global Skywatch.bz, like the short domain, top level domain for business, GSW.bz /live, and you'll be able to see the live stream where we have some video and some more action going on here, so we can share. We're going to be sharing pictures in a minute, so if you're on the call, you may want to go there and take a look, because we're going to be sharing Helen's pictures in a second while she tells us what's going on. Looks like we may have Kwan. Let me see if this is Kwan or not, who came in on the console. Hello, caller. Is that Kwan, or is this someone else?
Oh, is this me?
That's you, yes.
Oh, hi. I'm Faye. I'm from Drumheller in Alberta, which is in Canada. And I just noticed the chemtrail start in November. Like, I don't think we were getting hit that bad here for the longest time, but I think when the Kyoto Protocol expired, I think that's when it really heated up here in Canada. Like, they just started hitting us crazy. And, I've got asthma now. My joints hurt. I'm just 37, and I was fairly active up until this winter time. We've been hit so bad that I don't even like going outside with my kids. It's like I'm keeping us inside and going to the community center to get exercise down there, like just avoiding going outside. But you can't be too scared either, you know what I mean? You can't live like a mole, but it's pretty tough, hey?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people are feeling it. I feel it horribly. I have a number of people who contact me who have headaches and muscle pain and joint pain and all kinds of issues. I have a bunch of issues from it. For 7 years now, I've struggled. It's hard for me to function when they're spraying hard. This afternoon, my headache was so bad I could hardly function, and I was taking herbal anti-inflammatories and taking other countermeasures, which is what keeps me able to work. But boy, let me tell you.
I've noticed just lately as well, like, the sky's been really white. Like, with us, really white. Strange white. Like, I've never seen it white before. You know, bright, just so, it hurts your eyes. And it's not even like cloud formations. It's like living in a dome. And,
Yeah.
you know, the sun's like so shadowed, but not shadowed, like, I don't know how to say it. Just, you know, like, there's just a layer between us and the sun, and it's just not natural because it's glowing through this. It's not in clouds. You didn't see the sun glow through clouds like that before.
Yeah.
And if you wear sunglasses, you just see the most incredible colors. You know, I mean, it looks amazing, but it's really not. And I mean, the halos that we've been seeing, like, in Canada, up north, they're used to seeing sun halos, like when it gets really cold or there's a change in temperature waiting to happen. Like, so it's fairly well known here that halos do happen on a very, very, like, random kind of cold day. But I mean, I've been seeing them. I've seen tons. You know, I'm taking pictures of them every other day. I seen one today, and of course, you know, there's chemtrail flies right through it. So I took a picture of this chemtrail flying through the halo with a white background. But I also heard that there was this ship in the Pacific. It has 3 spouts, and it's supposed to be blowing up, you know, like water from the ocean up into the atmosphere. And I just wonder if that's what's making the sky so white, because I live probably about a 9-hour drive from the Pacific, so I'm really not that far away to be getting affected. And I have spoke to people on further into the west coast who say the same thing. They've noticed this huge white sky. So, or is it got anything to do with North Korea? You know, they zapped us with something, or it's just, you don't know nowadays. You just don't know. But I do know this white sky is not coming from the chemtrails, because I've seen the heavy, thick day, chemtrail day, and you can always somewhat see a trail or two through it. But this has been just like living in a dome, just like, you know, it's just white, and it's just musty and so sad. And, you know, just, I mean, I'm a way to start. I want to start an indoor aquaponic garden, just so I can stop buying, you know, my vegetables from Costco. And, you know, like, I've been Facebooking telling everybody, but nobody here really wants to know about it. You know, everyone just wants to live in their little bubble. We live in a valley, and we're very much sheltered from the outside world, but I just don't understand how people can't see it. I've stood there and pointed to them spraying, and they just put their heads down and scurry on with their lives again like they don't care. I mean, I realize they're scared too, but, you know, that makes it kind of tough.
Yeah, absolutely. This is happening all over. You know, people just aren't. You know, a lot of people just aren't willing to look at this. It's a very scary subject, and I think a lot of people are too scared to really deal with it. You know.
Yeah. But I actually made friends with you on Facebook, Russ, and I was looking at, you know, I'd seen your posts. I've been going on your page, and I've gotten a lot of information, and I want to do a heavy metal cleanse, one that you spoke about on your page, and I want to give that a try, just to see if that kind of makes my joints feel a little better, or, you know, like, but good work, you know, it's people like you who keep us going, you know, because if it wasn't for people like you, then I'd be just still standing here scratching my head. And when I first found out, like, I was closing my curtains, running from window to window. Like, I honestly felt like I was just like a mouse being poisoned, you know, helpless. Like, you just feel kind of helpless, because what can you do? It's so much bigger than us, you know. But there's got to be a point where they have to look up and listen. It's like, oh, these people know, but
Yeah.
just,
Hey, someone on the chat room had a quick question for you, asking you what province you're in.
Alberta.
Alberta. Okay, and what was your first name?
Faye.
Faye. Okay. All right. Very
Yeah,
good.
Faye.
Awesome.
Okay, well, thank you. I just wanted to join in and just say that, you know, in Alberta, yeah, we're getting sprayed, and, you know, it's not just the States, it's Canada. I mean, it's all over. I'm from Scotland, so, you know, like, But my friends back home, they won't really buy the fact that chemtrails are happening. But I see in their pictures, they're posting pictures of these incredible skies, and I see it laden with chemtrails. And I'll point out there's chemtrails in their pictures, but they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna shut up. I'm gonna keep on talking.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling. Somebody, I was laughing because somebody online just said, "Sounds like you're Scottish," and you just right after they said that, you said, "I'm Scottish," and I'm Scottish too. I've got some pretty big Scottish background in me.
Nice.
So it's nice to meet you. Thanks for calling, and I hope you join us every week, and let's coordinate our efforts and get this stopped.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, what I want to do right now is give Quan one more chance to join us. She was going to join us and had some incredible stories to tell, and then we're going to talk to Helen. So Quan, if you're on, if you would press *6 on your phone, that'll put you in the Q&A queue, and I'll be able to get you on. I just need to identify you in our console, but it looks like you may not be with us, and that's fine. We'll do this again another time. Hopefully, let me just let me turn off Q&A session here because I don't think Quan is with us tonight.
Q&A session is over.
All right. All right. I want to get Helen on here, and Helen's got some pictures. Looks like somebody else emailed me some pictures, but I don't have a password to get to the Google Drive, so you'll need to email me back a password so I can get on that Google Drive. All right. Let me get Helen on here. Helen, you there?
Yes, I am, Russ.
All right. Let me turn your volume up a little.
The problem is, we might should have done a dry run with the new equipment. My computer is telling me that my browser is old and unsupported by this, so I don't think I'm going to be able to see the pictures.
Well, let's see if we can figure that out. Do you know what browser you're using?
I don't.
Do you have like a button at the top that says help?
Yes.
Oh, click on that. And then you should have an item that says about. Click on that.
Okay.
And what's it say there?
Oh, it's Internet Explorer 8.
Okay. And is this when you're trying to look at the live stream, you're getting that message?
For the new thing that you told me to do, the BGS.
Right, the gsw.bz/live.
Yeah, I plugged all that in, but it just keeps coming up saying to me, please upgrade your browser.
Okay.
To use new live stream.
Well, let's not give up yet. I'll tell you what you do. Do you know where the address bar is at the top of your browser?
Yes.
All right, in that address bar, just type in firefox.com, and we're going to install a better browser for you. I'm a web designer, web programmer, computer programmer, got a background in electronics, and I'm very aware of how Internet Explorer has just been very difficult.
I have Firefox. I've already got the download for Firefox.
Oh, okay. Why don't you open up Firefox?
That up?
Yeah, let's use Firefox. Firefox will work.
Okay, let me
That's what I use.
go ahead and try and pull that up.
Internet Explorer, just for those listening, if you're interested, it now only has about under 13% of the market. It used to have virtually 100% of the browser market, and it's lost just about everything because of just being a poor browser. It hasn't supported the standards and had one problem after another. So Firefox and Google Chrome now have the lead, and other good browsers, Opera. I don't use Internet Explorer except for testing websites to make them work with Internet Explorer. All right, when you're at the page, if you can get there, let me know, Helen.
Yes, I'm there. I've got it open.
All right, wonderful. Can you see the list of pictures? Let me expand it here. Now there's going to be a little latency. There's going to be a drag between me speaking and what you're going to see, probably 15 to 30 seconds. But check. Okay, we're getting all kinds of audio interference on our phone. This happened to me recently for the first time. You still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, wow, all kinds of interference on her phone there. That was people online listening to the stream. I'm sure you heard that. That's been happening to me recently, where we get that loud, weird dual tone thing going on. All right, can you see the stream, Helen?
No, I'm going to GSWBZ/live. Is that what you want me to do?
Yep, there's a dot before the BZ.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Let me hit search and see if I can get to the page.
Well, actually, you don't want to put it into the Google search box. You want to put it at the very top into the actual address bar where you type addresses.
Oh, okay.
That'll bring you directly to the page you want to go to.
Right. Let me try this again then.
Yeah, for those watching using this chat room, I kind of like the chat we had before that I had set up on our website because it lets you see a lot more. This only I can only see about 6 of the previous chats, so it'd be kind of nice if it was longer. But oh well, we will work with what we have. Fortunately, hopefully, you guys listening on the live stream, please let me know if the audio and video has been stable. Please, I would definitely appreciate it. Just type in, say, audio video is good, bad, slow, whatever it is, so that I know. This is the first time we've used live stream, and I want to know it's going to be reliable. It's expensive. I'm paying for it out of pocket, so.
Okay, I'm at the page. It's got the Global Skywatch Monday Night Meet live now.
Okay, thanks for the tip, Lexi. Actually, she only needs to create an account to chat. She should be able to watch a video without an account. Yeah, go ahead and click on the live now.
Okay.
And it should bring you to a video, and that'll take a sec to open up. Let me know when you see that. And after Helen's done, anyone else who wants to talk, you can just press *6 on your phone. In fact, I'm going to turn the Q&A on right now so you can get up and get queued up.
Q&A session started.
All right. If you want to talk after Helen and tell your chemtrail story, please press *6 on your phone anytime, and we'll get you in the queue. All right, Helen. Any luck with that video? Oh, sorry, Helen. Hang on. I muted you accidentally. All right, Helen, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you see the video?
I can see all the different little photographs.
Good. Let me open them up one by one. Let me see the best way to do this. Let's see here. All right. Here's what I'll do is I'll move this into the viewing area. All right. When you see the potted plant there, let me know. It's going to be a little bit of a lag. We've got somebody else in the Q&A queue, so that'll be great. We have another story. Let me see if I receive that password back.
I see it. There it is.
Okay. All right. For the person who is sending me pictures to show tonight, I just want to let you know that I have to request access. So it'd be better if you could just probably email me those pictures because you're using Google Drive. Well, I'll see if I can get access in a bit. I'll see if we can work that out. I'll have to log in and create an account and stuff, whatever they require. Probably won't be that big of a deal. All right, so do you see the potted plant there, Helen?
Yes, I sure do.
Okay. So what is that?
Well, that was a beautiful calla lily that I had purchased from Home Depot for my mom for Mother's Day last May. And after being chemtrailed all summer long, that's what it looked like.
So it just kind of died. The leaves are shriveling up a little bit, and
Just yellow, burnt on the edges. It just sort of collapsed over. So
yeah, okay. The next one, we have a close-up of the leaf. Let me know when you see that.
Yeah, there it is. So that's just, basically a close-up of what it looks like.
All right. All right. Some of these get very, very interesting. We had to talk about these before when we burned these to CD for you. There's another close-up of the leaf. Looks like it should get burned. I'm seeing a lot of problems with leaves going on. Tell me when you see the picture.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, and we're also seeing, and this is what I'm seeing all over here in Maine, and this happened in my garden and in some of the flower plants that Laura planted, is we're getting these brown spots in the leaves where it's almost like somebody threw acid on the leaves. And I'm getting reports from all over the United States that people are seeing this. Do you see the picture now?
Yes. Those were some wild violets that grow all up and down a hillside between my house and my barn. And after we got initially sprayed, I know the folks that are regulars sort of know my story, but maybe I should give a little overview of the fact that I saw on May 30th, 2012, was a military-type jet that was flying in an eastward direction as I was driving west. And as it got almost parallel to me, it wasn't flying over the road, it was flying over the, farmland and the pastures. And it got right to me, and all of a sudden, the guy just banked it, and it went just straight up, just in front of me and off to the right. And it was just spraying out this thick, opaque white substance behind both wings, full length of both wings, pouring out. And I was so stunned, I just pulled off to the side of the road. And the plane was very low. I've never seen one fly this low ever since. It was probably maybe 10, 12,000 feet in the air, maybe not even that high. And immediately it just took off, to the north, to the northeast after he banked and went straight up. And I continued on. I was driving to get some milk, and as I drove about a mile or two as the crow flies to the store, I could see the traditional crisscross grid of the tic-tac-toe trails, and they were hanging actually about the same height or really a little lower even still than the plane I had observed. And I drove, as I pulled into the parking lot of the grocery store, I was just pulling in the northward direction, and all of a sudden I see the plane coming back. This time it was headed in a westward direction, still spraying the substance out behind it. So I, went in and got my milk, came back home, just said to myself, okay, how am I supposed to process this? Am I just supposed to act like this didn't happen? Am I supposed to pretend I didn't see this? Within 24 to 36 hours, I got very ill from this with flu-like symptoms. I had burning eyes. I had mental confusion. I had aching spine and joints. I had a caustically burned sinuses and throat, with also tightness in my upper chest and back, and just, observed all in the subsequent days this damage to my property, which brings us back to the photographs that we're looking at. And, this is what I looked at for literally almost a year. I mean, it's now spring, and I'm just now losing the signs of this. I had leaves all over my deck all summer long, spring and summer. The burned leaves from the damage, I was sweeping them up. It was just terrible. It was a really, really horrible event, and I'm still just now trying to pull my life back together from it. So anyway, this was another leaf that was burned and singed, which is up at my barn.
Okay. Yeah, Cheryl on the chat room is saying that it's the same there in Australia. The plants are dying and also the trees. Yeah, I speak to people all the time who are having plants and trees die in their area. Here's another photo.
Right, that's the same leaf. You can see it does look as if an acid. I mean, that's not insect damage. Come on, folks, I mean, it looks just as if an acid hit the edge and just ate the edges of leaves off. And I had everything from tiny little pinholes peppered on the vegetation on the ground to holes the size of a cigarette. If you've just taken and burned holes in leaves, a completely round hole to the edges, as you can see, that are burned off on the plant.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's another shot. And there's more.
The same grouping.
Yep.
So I learned very quickly to grab a camera and do some documentation, which I have, done ever since. I rarely travel without one. That's the same grouping of plants there.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a new one for you.
Yeah, that's one of my beautiful old oak trees, of which I've had many. Probably I've lost 9 to 11 trees of that stature in the past several years. They're just slowly dying from the top and then crashing over. That tree actually broke off at the bottom of the trunk there at the ground. And when it fell over, those leaves that you see on there that are now brown were still green. And I had a gentleman who's an expert horticulturist come out, and when I pointed that out to him, he immediately knew that. He said, "Oh, yes, I know, because had the leaves been dead, they would have fallen off of the tree."
Mm-hmm.
He said he knew that the leaves had been alive and on the tree when the tree broke at the trunk there at the stem and just crashed over. And it's heartbreaking to me. There's one of my horses. You can see the size of the tree next to the horse that's standing there in the left-hand section of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, this tree actually just broke. I mean, it became brittle and broke. There's something fundamentally wrong with the chemistry that's going on here.
And up from that, I had a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years before this tree fell, a huge hickory that just collapsed over that was also green. It was in early spring, and it just fell over. Now there's a young oak that had started to sprout out that has, the spotting on it. You can also see at the top of that there's a dead leaf. It looks to be another oak leaf that is sort of brown and green. And I had leaves like that all over the place. Everything looked like it was just flash fried. And I also saw this damage on the 4th of July weekend. I went to take care of a neighbor's property that lives about a mile to the east, and she had the exact same damage all over. There's some poison oak, I think that is, the sharp leaves, and you can see there it's discolored.
Okay.
There's one of the strange trails that I photographed. I think that one might actually be upside down.
Oh, is it?
I believe it goes the other way, yes. from where the tree
Oh,
is.
there we go. Okay. All right, I've got it straightened out now.
But either way, you see that was just as we were getting to sundown one evening, and there was just this little strange, trail that was hanging there in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. And here's another one that's coming up.
Mhm. Also, that was photographed over my home.
Now here's another tree we have dying. I've seen a lot of this going. The thing we talked about this before is I've seen trees. One of the things I've seen here in this area is that the trees, instead of this last fall going to beautiful colors, they just turned. They did what this tree did. They turned a little yellow, and then all the leaves died, and there was no. I didn't see the widespread, brilliant main colors that you normally see in the fall.
And it was the same here in the South. We usually have a very nice fall, a beautiful spring and fall in Georgia, and it was very, very bad last year as well here. That was taken around the corner on a neighbor's property. There's some of the bark that we saw in, I think it was Deborah Whitman was actually speaking about that in Michael Murphy's film, What in the World Are They Spraying? And I got the idea to collect some of the grayish, sort of a blue, gray, green, lichen-like substance that we're seeing taking over many of the trees around here. And that was a very large pine that I had on my property. And I took samples of the bark and some other trees as well, and had it sent in and analyzed. And of course, virtually everything from soil samples to leaves, the bark, all came in with very high counts of aluminum, and also showed presence of the barium, strontium, and the titanium in virtually everything I had tested.
All right, I would love for you to say that again. When you had this bark tested, barium, aluminum, and titanium, is that what you said?
Yes.
And that's what they found in the bark of these trees.
They did. The presence of the bark mixture came back at 2406 parts per million on the aluminum. The barium found in it was 0.336. The strontium was at 0.075, and the titanium 0.307.
Can you read the aluminum again? How much aluminum did you have in these?
The bark mixture contained 2406. That's 2,406 parts per million, ppm.
That is a tremendous amount of aluminum. That's a tremendous amount of aluminum.
Well, wow. And the soil mixture came in at 3750, and the leaves, I sent some of the leaves that were all curled and damaged, and that came in at 2725.
2725 for aluminum?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
And I actually found some horse manure that was lying out dried in the pasture that had sat out there over the summer, and I collected it probably, I don't know, around, I'd say, July.
Mm-hmm.
And they started spraying on us really heavily. It started with that episode that I witnessed on May 30th. So they continued to spray relentlessly over us all summer long. So this was kind of at the height of the spraying, and I noticed there was sort of like a gray dusting on the top of the manure that was sitting out there. And I thought, well, I've been looking at horse manure for a lot of years, and that just looks kind of odd. So I picked it up and I set it inside a barn and just kind of let it. I mean, it was already dry, but I just didn't have a lab to send all this stuff to. I mean, it takes a while when you're not familiar with anything like this, and you just suddenly get dumped on and have something like this dumped into your life and your lap. And I had so many directions I had to go in it at one time, and eventually a friend of mine that was an organic farmer gave me a lead on a lab in South Georgia that was an agriculture lab that I was able to send my specimens of things to.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, at the same time, I'm still, I was sick, so I was going to the doctor and trying to take care of myself, trying to take care of my animals, trying to take photographs, trying to contact my local state representatives on this, and the sheriff's office. I was calling the agriculture, the county agent, and had him out here a couple of times. I had the forestry service out. I mean, I just immediately went into action, and all of it while feeling poisoned and sick. So it's really been, quite a humdinger of a year. And that photograph that you have there is a wild strawberry in a pasture, and it just appeared a little section of the soil, maybe 2 feet by 2 feet. It was like a little square where this bright neon orange appeared on the bottom of the leaves of these little wild strawberry plants. And of course you can see how singed, they look brown. And that was once a field that was lush green grass. And I'm watching this beautiful piece of property just decline all around me. The trees are dying. The lush pastures are filling up with weeds instead of thick grass. It's been a mind blower, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing some zoom. I mean, to me, this looks like a mold or something, mold or fungus or something. It's all over. You got several pictures of it, and it's growing primarily on the bottom side. But you said it was just in a little square, but it wasn't around outside that square much, right? At all? It was.
Absolutely. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't see it anywhere else on my property. So, I mean, you tell me, did something fall down from the sky on that little piece of land, square of earth that caused that? I saved it. I went out there and, carefully with gloves, sort of clipped some of it and put a lot of this stuff in baggies. But I really didn't. It's expensive sending all this stuff off for testing, so I never did send that off for analysis. Would have hoped at this point that someone, in the agriculture department, some state representative, someone for the EPA might have taken an interest to start doing some testing themselves on this, but no help from any of these agencies.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people have said that to me. Here's a great picture with some great detail of almost it shows you almost the texture of this orange stuff. I would guess it's a mold or fungus, and that's the big problem. Is I've seen absolute explosions. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. But a few of the past years, when chemtrailing was heavy, there would be mold and mildew all over the cars. Just the car would be covered with this green, dry green powder stuff that was kind of stuck to it. It was real hard to get off. That looked just like a mold, but the stuff was just growing everywhere. And I just really believe chemtrails probably contain mold spores. In fact, there's some old study that Carnicom did that talked about the mold spores in chemtrail collections samples that he had gotten, and mold spores were mentioned there. So,
Yeah, and speaking of mold spores, this was taken in December here in Georgia, which is normally our winter, and it is winter, but we usually have cold, wet weather, not weather that's conducive to having a horrible mildew like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
You can see there the holes that were burnt. Those are part of like the cigarette burn type hole, that lower left leaf there with that larger type hole. That was very characteristic. I had that on the leaves of oak trees that were still on the trees, just like acid or something. Someone had it on their fingertips and just flung it, and it was like wherever it hit, it just burned holes or ate edges. It's been really very horrible.
Yep.
And there's one of the planes, one of the culprits. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, everything in this picture that I'm looking at right now is all chemtrail fallout. There's no real clouds here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd say you're right.
Yeah, all these big. This is what, for those who are new with us, if you're looking at this picture, all of this, these big plumes are what chemtrails look like after they're about 30 to 60 minutes old. They spread out in these big structures that don't look like real clouds. If you're 15 years old or older, you should know what a real cloud looks like, and those are not real clouds, unfortunately. Here's some more damage. We've got holes and also problems on the edge of leaves here.
Mm-hmm. I saw so much of that. You can see even in the dead brown leaf below it, the holes, the little pinholes that were peppered all over everything. The leaves were just, I mean, it was, the damage was horrific. I had just started a garden, and it ruined my plants. These food-bearing plants all seemed to act as if they were hit by an herbicide, and they actually curled and withered up, where the non-food-bearing plants seem to have this type of damage with the spotting and the hole.
Yeah, all over Maine, I've seen trees with this just all summer long, and I've gotten feedback from all over the world where people are seeing this, where it looks like they just sprayed acid on the leaves and they just died wherever the acid landed, is what it looks like. You know, and I know that a lot of people may look at this, or some people who are new to this may look at this, oh, that's just a mold or fungus. The problem is we have not seen outbreaks like this ever, and they are correlating with the spraying of chemtrails. Plus a lot of the other information we have that correlates to molds and fungus appearing with chemtrail spraying is really alarming.
And I'll have to tell you, I've lived on this same piece of property for the last 20 plus years, and I've never seen anything like this. So this is definitely a new phenomenon that we are facing.
Yeah, I've always watched plants. I've always been very observant about things like that, and I've never seen anything like this. The spots all over the trees in Bangor that I saw throughout the summer was just astonishing. And I'm blown away that more people aren't noticing it, saying, what is going on with all the trees? You know, a large percentage of the trees, that's a huge significant percentage of the trees have these big black blotches. And yes, they may be a conventional mold that does occur in nature, but the question is why are we having such large outbreaks of this? That's what my question is.
And I've been told by some plant experts that the molds move in when the plant is damaged. That normally a healthy leaf will not be affected by mold. That it has to be first damaged by something, and that's when the insects and the mold, it gives them an invitation to move in. So
Exactly. I've got a line of pine trees here next to the house, and they are covered with lichen. I have never in my life seen trees where the branches and the trunk are just covered with that, turquoise covered lichen all over the place.
and that's exactly what we had here. And in fact, I had those very large pines removed from around my house that became covered with that, because I'm just so afraid now with having trees just keeling over and dying. Yeah, and look at all that strange coloration. That to me is chemical damage. That looks just like a chemical of some kind has been, and possibly a number of different chemicals based on all the strange spotting and different coloration.
Yeah. Yeah, here's another one.
Yeah, there's one of the ones that looks like acid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the little gray holes there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I set those. Those are taken on the floor of my tack room and my feed room up near the barn. I had just set all this stuff in there, you know, on a brown paper bag and just kind of let it sit there, not really knowing what to do with it. There's another really strange looking coloration.
Yeah, here's another one. It's interesting. We've got all the purple halos around here. Just strange looking stuff.
And then, you know, to think that this fell on my horses, they were eating whatever this was out on the grass. We all breathed it up. It's just horrific, folks.
Yes, it is. This is not, people need to realize that government is supposed to do everything for your advantage, to help you. I mean, I'm not saying you rely on government for anything by any means. We need to be personally responsible for our lives. But government should not be doing things to harm people. Government provides a limited amount of services for the benefit of people, not to spray them and poison them and to damage property. It's just amazing. What's more amazing is that people aren't up in arms about it. Now, we are having a lot of people responding to this. A lot of people are starting to wake up now, but it's taken a while. There's another one with those spots. There's another half-dead leaf, and this one has a lot of little micro spots on there.
Yeah, I really like that one. I think the colors are really beautiful in that one, aren't they? That lovely sort of a light blue. I've never seen leaves in the fall turn a color like that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. There's some more acid-looking ones here. And here's some of the bark.
Yeah, that came off the tree that fell. The earlier great big tree where my horse was standing by it, the giant oak that just keeled over and broke off its trunk at the base of it.
Yep.
That was on the inside of some of the bark, all of that really strange gray mass there, which I haven't had it tested, but I would venture to guess that would be just full of aluminum.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that came that was the horticulturist, he looked at that and he said that that's really strange looking too.
Well, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear a horticulturist saying these kinds of things. That now, now we've got something from a professional who's trained in this area. I'm not a horticulturist, but I know that I'm seeing things on plants and trees I've never seen before. Also, I've seen after a couple weeks of really hard spraying, we had things in our garden die last year. Just the same varieties. It would be only like 4 varieties of stuff just all died together. And it coincided with really heavy spraying. Here's some more of that purple coloring.
Mm-hmm. Now that is not natural. You know, I've never seen anything like that. That's my favorite picture. I'd like to have a poster made out of that one with the airplane. Go back to the plane.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Flying over my barn, I was standing between my barns up there, and I believe it was in November that I took that, last November, but that plane was just going straight up into the air.
And what people need to realize is the wingspan on these planes can be 300 feet, 400 feet. Well, 200, 250. It depends on the jet. But those plumes look like little strings to us, but they're enormous.
Oh my gosh, yeah, especially when you see way high in the sky, and the plane, you can barely see it. It looks like the head of a pin, but yet you can still see a great long trail out behind it. Do you know how huge that is? You know, and the size of the plane that you're looking at is a pin.
Yep, it's hard to get the scope, the scale of how huge these things are. They are enormous. Wow.
Really near the Atlanta. I'm about an hour north or so of the Atlanta airport, so I mean, you know, that's not a flight plan. There we're back to the very first picture.
Yep, I saw that, definitely.
Probably most of them, but I've many more on discs and things. I've documented since some hay that has some really bizarre colors. My neighbor, a quarter of a mile up the road, baled some hay last August, and I bought some to store, and when I noticed I was feeding it this winter, it had colors in there that I've never seen, like a neon purple color and a maroon. Some of it was actually spotted and black. I've taken some additional photographs up close of that too, but haven't had a chance to get them to you. But I just had them burned on a disc. You know, it's just amazing if folks go out there and look around with their camera what they might find.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's they're killing plants, and we all know it. We can all see it, and it's time that we do something about it. All right, Helen, I've got someone else on the line. I'm gonna give the mic to here for a minute, but I know we've spoken a lot, and you've seen a lot of damage on your property. It's cost you a lot of money. You lost an animal. You're seeing changes in your other animals. So this is very upsetting.
Yes, and I want to thank you for, you know, going over my pictures. I'd like, if I have a minute, though, could I read a word of encouragement to everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
I happened to be looking at this last night. It's from the Daily Word Unity magazine, and I thought that this was very inspirational, and I want to read it to everyone. The word courage comes from the Latin root word for heart. My heart takes courage when I boldly break through fear, refusing to be stymied by it for one more moment. I have all the spiritual mettle I need to make whatever changes or decisions are necessary. I have the courage to climb any mountain, however insurmountable it may appear. I am not dismayed by life's setbacks or derailed by doubt. I rely on my spiritual tools to steady my mind and fuel the faith of my courageous heart. Right now, I step out with daring and take clear action. I am a courageous conqueror, and victory is already won. And I just want all of us to keep that in mind and just keep doing a great job that you're all doing, and I feel proud to stand with every one of our listeners and our call group.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks for supporting us and being here every week, and all the work that you're doing, contacting the media and the politicians and sharing the word among your neighbors and friends down there. That's how this is going to change, by getting the word out, letting other people know. So thanks a lot for all you're doing, and hopefully we can do this again in the future, and you know, keep people up to date on what's going on and keep educating the public.
Okay. Well, thanks, Russ.
All right. Thanks. Good night, Helen. Okay. All right, we've got another caller. I think I have the pictures that you sent me, so let me see if I've got the right pictures up. Hi, caller.
Yeah, can you hear me, Russ?
I sure can.
Okay. Yeah, my name's Dan Cherry. I've been following your website as well as others for quite a number of years. And before we get to the pictures, if I could chat here just for a minute.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the woman who was just talking to you, I didn't catch her name, but it's interesting that over the last, I'd say probably, a year, Monsanto ended up getting a patent for aluminum-proof seeds that can grow in aluminum polluted soils. And if you think about the logic of something like that, you have to sit back and ask yourself, what the hell would they be wanting to get a patent for, seeds that grow in aluminum polluted soils, unless they knew something. And just the talking that we're doing about all the chemicals that are known to be in the sprays, I think it makes incredibly perfect sense that they know that there is a tremendous amount of aluminum being sprayed, and probably will continue, unfortunately, for some time. I saw a video not too long ago about some climate scientists up in Canada, and it's on YouTube. I don't know if you folks have seen it, but there's some guys who are talking about dumping upwards of something like 200 million tons of aluminum into the air over the course of about 10 years. And they're challenged in the video as far as whether they had done research as far as the health effects from something like that. And they pretty blatantly say, no, we haven't done any research, but, we have to try to stop global warming. One of the ideas we have is to spray these nano-aluminized particles into the air, and we're gonna push ahead with spraying upwards of 200 tons of aluminum, which is obviously a tremendous amount. So anyway, I'm from Hemlock, New York, which is about 30 miles south of Rochester, and I moved to the house where I am presently roughly 5 years ago, and that's when I first noticed chemtrails. And at first, the trails were pretty sporadic. They were pretty steady. I'd see them fairly often during the day, but they were nothing like they are now. And then over the course of maybe 6 to 12 months ago, they started to spread here intensely in two east-west paths. And unfortunately, one of the paths is on the south side of my house, and one of the paths is right on the north side of my house. And I live right between Hemlock Lake and Canadice Lake. These two lakes are, one feeds into the other. The water is drawn out of Hemlock Lake. Canadice pipes into Hemlock, and then the water from there is shipped up to the city of Rochester, where many hundreds of thousands of people get their drinking water. And so it's interesting to have been studying this stuff. I've been studying this very intensely for about 5 years since I moved here. Once I saw the trails, I got very deeply into it. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, I don't have kids, right? So I don't have distractions that an awful lot of people do. And so I have found that the study of chemtrails has really become a major interest of mine, if not a pet peeve, whatever. And so anyway, they spray here where I live intensely in these two east-west paths, nonstop, literally every single day, to the point where we never have sun. We haven't seen the sun literally in about 8 months, to my calculation. And I have spoken with the DEC about this, as well as I was able to get, I placed a phone call to the local county offices asking what the chemtrails were and what I could do about it. And I ended up being sent all the way up to the director of the Environmental Health Agency for my county. And he ended up laughing, and he said, Dan, you're nuts. He said that that's just the exhaust from the airplanes. And so the DEC also told me that they didn't say I was nuts. They just basically said, there's no such thing as chemtrails. That's essentially what they were getting to. So anyway, when I first had seen the chemtrails, I had read both sides of what they were supposed to have been. There's, of course, quite a divergence in what the military or the local politicians or whatever are going to tell you versus what people like you tell us, that we're learning is that these things truly are about. And so what I set out to do, and this was a good, again, 4 or 5 years ago, I needed to prove to myself beyond a shadow of a doubt, and if this helps people who are on the call right now as far as, learning about this stuff and getting a sense of really understanding this stuff and realizing it's real. I read every single thing that I could as far as the two sides of the chemtrail issue, and I especially focused on the areas where people said, you know, this is not real because of this. And I took every single one of the arguments against chemtrails that I could come up with, and I put them to test. And over the course of the last, say, 4 or 5 years, I've videotaped probably literally hundreds of hours of plane spraying here in all patterns and colors and shapes and forms and numbers and designs and whatever. And I probably have thousands of pictures as well of some pretty good quality pictures. And, you know, it got to the point, for example, just one issue, people would say, well, you know, the only way plane exhaust comes out at a certain altitude when it's a certain temperature and a certain humidity range. And I would just keep taking pictures, and then a few times I happened to have caught planes that were, to me, they appeared to be pretty much the exact same heights, but one would spray and then another one would come right behind it and would not spray. You know, so I started to prove that the people who were the naysayers were completely incorrect. I proved beyond a shadow of a doubt to myself that chemtrails are real, that they're incredibly damaging, and I have based the last few years going beyond looking at these things and asking myself, are these real? I instead have gotten into people like Clifford Carnicom and some others you have mentioned. So there's no question to me. Now it's a matter of understanding what these things are and what we can do about it. I know that you suffer from the trails. I also suffer from headaches. I can get up in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, if I have a headache, I know there's spraying, and I'm dead on. I can always tell when there's spraying. You know, getting to what I see here, the pictures and things, especially the woman who was just before me, it's pretty disturbing to see the kinds of things that you see with the trees dying and the leaves and that kind of thing. This year alone on my property, I have an incredible number of pine trees that are dying and are falling. And I haven't seen that in the 5 years that I've been here. And it's pretty alarming. I own 20 acres of woods here, and the woods is thinning out in a record fashion, and I'm very, very disturbed about that. So I've got a pretty good sense of urgency to help in whatever way or form, way, shape, or form that I can. Now, the interest that I have is in the chemtrails, especially. I'm interested in learning more about chelation and nutritional healing. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, if anybody knows what that is, about 7 or 8 years ago. I think I had it for a lot longer than that. And I decided that rather than to continue taking the medications that I was given by my gastroenterologist, that I was going to try to heal myself through nutrition, and I did. And I just had a colonoscopy this past summer, and my gastroenterologist was completely blown away, and he looked at me and he said, I don't think in my practice I have ever seen anybody heal colitis. You do not heal colitis. So anyway, that's just a testament to me that what I see for my own sanity is to nutritionalize and to chelate. I haven't done any chelation yet, but I'm very on top of eating healthy foods, taking the right vitamins and those kind of things, getting stress out of my life, sleeping well, etc. One of the other things that I don't think I heard anybody mention tonight is the combination of fluoride and aluminum, and how research is showing now that the combination of the two allows fluoride with aluminum, allows aluminum to bypass the blood-brain barrier and allows aluminum to get into the brain. And aluminum in the brain is being shown to be the cause, at least a major cause, of autism in young kids and Alzheimer's in older people. And it's just an eerie coincidence that almost at the exact same time, right around World War II, the powers that be ended up deciding to put fluoride, which is an incredibly caustic poison, especially when it's delivered in raw form. And they started to put that into the water systems. At the same time, they allowed aluminum to be put into antiperspirants, right? So you know, you start to follow some of these things that are going on. So it starts to make an awful lot of sense that a lot of these things are tied in. It's listening to Rob earlier. I'm with him. I think there's a New World Order aspect of this. I think there's an Illuminati. I think there's a level above the government. I'm convinced of it. They pull the strings. They're the ones who are poisoning us. They're the ones who subsidize the planes, as well as people like Bill Gates. It's been released that he's helping to fund some of the chemtrail testing and stuff out west, etc. So anyway, those are just items that I'm just throwing out. And even if you look at like weather extremes, one of the things I've studied over the last year is weather.com, as well as the NOAA.gov website that shows weather systems and the satellite pictures of the weather systems. And I've been watching the intense spraying going on off the West Coast. In I forget who it was. It was Department of Defense or somebody came out the other day, EPA, whoever it was, and they admitted that they had just done a study on why the drought occurred. And they didn't say anything about chemtrails, but they did say that the reason there was a drought in the country, especially out west, the Midwest, was because storm systems that would normally come off the Pacific and rain across California, Oregon, Washington, and then come inwards, those systems were being shunted northward. And I concur with that, but I watched the chemtrails cause the shunting of the water to not be able to cross the coast. And that's why we have the drought that we have. So that's just really interesting stuff to understand and to follow, and to know that these people have a lot more control of things than we think they do. And another thing that I'm starting to study very deeply is HAARP, and the experiments that they're doing with heating the upper atmospheres and causing the natural balances of electrons and ions in the middle atmosphere levels that cause storms to naturally form and lightning and that kind of thing. They're starting to mess with that, and that's why we're seeing weather extremes and tornadoes and in these storms and whatever. They're definitely causing hurricanes, and they are also using HAARP to cause earthquakes. I won't get into detail on that stuff, but there's a tremendous amount of information on the internet that speaks to that type of stuff. And it's something, HAARP to me is the main cause of a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. HAARP and chemtrails are intimately tied, and that's a level that's getting up there as far as thinking in terms of maybe being able to stop these people from doing this stuff to us. Just a quick note too, Rob mentioned 9/11 in the I think he mentioned like HAARP or whatever going on chemtrails at the same time with 9/11. I saw a video on YouTube last night by a woman named Dr. Judy Wood. It's a very interesting interview she has with a TV talk show host guy, and she talks about directed energy technology. And there, on 9/11, there was a massive hurricane off the coast of New York City, and the weather people, when they gave the weather leading up to 9/11, they never mentioned there was a hurricane off the coast of the east coast of the United States. It was Hurricane Erin, E-R-I-N, and when the planes hit the buildings at 9/11, there was a massive fluctuation in the natural magnetic field of the Earth at the time when the buildings went down. And this woman, Dr. Judy Wood, she studied for 10 years, and she's got a PhD in some incredibly intense electronic type of study. And she has videos on there, Russ, of right before the buildings came down and right after they came down. She's got pictures of in video of cars that were around the surrounding area of those buildings that had their engines melted, and you could see their door handles vaporize as the videos were showing people walking around with all the soot all over them. You'd see the handles on the cars just vaporize. Nothing happened to the cars themselves. The windows blew out. The engines melted, but the metal itself on the cars and the tires didn't change. But her theory, which I think is very true, is that HAARP was used to cause those buildings to crumble based on Tesla's theory of resonance and whatever. And I'm getting probably too deeply into this stuff, but it's just pretty amazing to understand that there's a lot more going on than just chemtrails. There's this HARP experiments with the atmosphere, and that is causing holes in a thinning of the ozone layer, and that may very well be part of what you're looking at with these pictures. Maybe is the absorption of these chemicals getting into the trees, and like the woman said who was before me, once the leaves get a little sickly, they're prime targets for any kind of bugs or germs or whatever. So there's no doubt that all this stuff is just starting to interact, and it gets pretty intense. But the information's out there for anybody to dig as deeply as they want to with this stuff. So anyway, we can go to my pictures. I'm sorry I got so long-winded there.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Very interesting. I know that I've been in this for a long time, and I know that it's hard for people, for new people to swallow. Once you get the big picture, everything starts to make sense. But you have to be willing to realize that much of what you've been taught is not true.
Right.
Even in school textbooks. I mean, right now they're teaching in school textbooks that chemtrails are normal. They're showing kids pictures of chemtrails. They're in cartoons. They're in fact, let me
Disney movies. Yep.
Yeah, they're showing. Let me show a couple pictures to the streamers here real quick.
Sure.
Of this, like here's one of my favorite. In fact, I captured these directly from the DVD Over the Hedge.
Yep.
And these have appeared. These have been scattered all over the internet. I captured these back in 2006. In fact, October 31st, 2006. These are the first pictures I saw, and I was just astounded. It was and this was about a year after I learned about chemtrails, almost exactly a year after. And I saw them in this cartoon. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit more here. Here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, look at these. For those who haven't seen these, go to globalskywatch.com and go into the forum and look at the list of videos and articles across the top of the page. There's a chemtrail right there going behind the house. It's very subtle. You can hardly even see it, but I saw them immediately because I've always in my life looked at sky. Very subtle. Here's a chemtrail right here. These are drawn in. There's one right there on the left. There's one on the right. These are drawn in. These are not accidents. Everything in an animated movie is intentional.
Well, that too, Russ, right? The background, that's not the real sky, in other words. That's animated for the movie itself.
Exactly.
So those aren't real chemtrails, in other words. They did that deliberately to the backdrop of the movie that you're watching.
Right. These are animated chemtrails put into children's movies. And so somebody might ask, well, why do they do this? What's the whole point of that? The point of that is a process called normalization. Is what you want to do when you're trying to make the public get used to something real quickly is you put it everywhere. So now I've seen detergent commercials, I've seen car commercials, I've seen liquor commercials, beer commercials, all kinds of things. I mean, at least half the commercials I see seem like they have chemtrails in the back of them. And the most compelling stuff to me is this, like these animated movie pictures. Look at these chemtrails right back here, and they're kind of subtle. They're hard to see in many, not that hard to see, but when you're watching the movie, typically a person may not even notice them. But subconsciously, they're normalizing chemtrails. They're making them feel normal so that when people see them in real life, they don't think so much about them. Here's a big picture, a big view of the neighborhood. You can see two big trails going across the back. Again, normalization. A whole bunch of pictures. So go to Global Skywatch and check that all out. But we should get to your pictures.
Yeah, the animated movie Cars is the same way, and you might have that on your website as well.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's right next door to it. I have it right here. Now, Cars, they did it a little bit interesting because they made the trails look like car tracks, like tire tracks. But the symbolism is still there. Psychologically, it has the same effect that you have a vehicle that creates trails in the sky. So here are the tire tracks in the sky. Here's another frame. There are the tire tracks back there. A little harder to see, but they're there. All throughout this movie. Look at the tire tracks in the sky right there. Here's another one, and some of them are curved. See, there's some curved tire tracks. Those ones are a little straighter. There's some more curved ones, curving all through the sky. And I'm not a young man. Uh, you know, this is not what skies look like. These cumulus clouds that you see in this animated frame right here, those are normal clouds. There's only 3 cloud types in the modifier called nimbus. Um, Besides that, this is what clouds are supposed to look like. So if you're a young person, if you've seen these trails and this powdery stuff and these wispy plumes in the sky, uh, this is stuff that's all new. And I want young people to realize this. All right, well, I better get to your pictures here. All right, let me.
I'm gonna throw out just a real quick cynical spin on what you're talking about as far as the commercials. You know, I've been known recently to ask the question, you know, hey government, what have we actually gotten for $16 trillion in debt? You know, my gut feel, Russ, especially with car commercials, is I have a funny feeling that, you know, we forget about that Obama has czars under him. You know, John Holdren, for example, is the science czar under Obama. You never hear about where he is, how much money he makes. He's not an elected official. But he wrote a book back in the 70s, I believe, about how to kill off the majority of the people. And he said that you do it through spraying poisons in aircraft that floats down and it kills people very slowly. His book's out there. I forget what it's called. I downloaded it and I read the portion of the book where he talks about that, and it's very descriptive. It's very verbatim that he says we need to kill off a majority of the people on the planet, and this is how I would propose to do it if I had the opportunity. And the reason I bring it up is getting back to the commercials and stuff. I haven't researched it, but I have a real funny feeling that, you know, he's got, like, say, a marketing czar or whatever, and they are funneling money to the car companies and saying, we will give you, you know, tax breaks or money or whatever if you will put these chemtrails in your commercials. That may sound absolutely nuts to somebody who's listening to me right now, but I've been studying this way too long. To have almost every single car commercial with a chemtrail in it, either tells you that there's so many chemtrails out there, which there are, you know, or else these people are getting an incentive of some kind to not only put them in those animated movies that you're talking about, but also to have them in all the commercials that you're talking about as well. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree, and that's there's been a very close relation. I mean, even in World War II, it's well known that they were that the media, mainstream media, and large corporations were completely complicit with whatever the CIA wanted to do. They had marketing programs. They had Disney made movies for children to teach them about, you know, things, and condition them. Um, you know, this stuff, it's not a secret. It's well known, but it's hard.
Right.
It's hard for people to grasp this who's never heard this before. But this is why we want people to wake up, because the United States is not a young country anymore. Um, we have to grow up and we have to face these hard truths and correct these massive problems because people are suffering and dying. We can't keep our heads in the sand anymore and act like children. We have to learn the way the world really works. And it's not the way you were taught in school. It's much different because the people who wrote those textbooks were funded by large corporations. That's where those foundations, you used to watch PBS and see, you know, this was made by grant by the Ford Foundation or by ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, or whatever. Those grants, and when you understand the way it works, when you supply the money, you control the content.
Right.
And I've digressed enough. Let's go ahead and get to your pictures here.
Okay. I actually had a few more that we're going to proceed this one, but I did have an issue with trying to get the pictures to you. I sent it from a different email address, and I cut out some of the pictures just to be able to get them to you. If you go to the ssd.noaa.gov/goes website, GOES, and I can get my email address out to you guys if you want to get in touch. I've got, I'd say, dozens of really intensely awesome websites that I can direct people to where people are coming out of the woodwork now. And these are like doctors, and these people are scientists. They have doctorates and whatever, and they're really figuring out the real deep stuff of what's going on with this stuff. So anyway, the reason I say that is because, again, the picture that I have up there is from the ssd.noaa.gov NOAA.gov/GOES, GOES website. And when you go there, you can click on, they have different pictures of different regions across the planet. You can click on those and then click on any number of ways to look at weather systems, and you'll see movement. They're actual, like the last few hours or whatever of weather systems across the planet. You can zoom in on them or whatever. So anyway, the other day here in New York, it was like Thursday, I think, of last week. It was stiflingly thick, the air of the smell of the raunch of chemicals, and it was really hard to breathe. I very much noticed people at work were sneezing, they were coughing, they were having a hard time breathing, including me. Everybody's throat was dry, and it was just a dreadful day. It was really overcast, real gloomy, the kind of day that you could tell that they've been spraying intensely. There's no detail to the clouds. It's just like fog. And so anyway, I had the interest to go into this website and look at these weather patterns. There's a guy named Bruce Douglas who has a tremendous tutorial on YouTube. And he talks about when you get in and look at these weather systems, if you click on the funk top, you see it down where you just had your circle there. See right below where you are? See funk top?
Yeah.
That was the name of the scientist who came up with this particular type of view of weather systems. And Bruce Douglas talks about the more red you see, the more intensely those areas are being bombarded with chemtrails. Those right there, we're looking, the red areas are tremendous areas of heat, which makes me think that it's not just chemtrails, but those very well are probably areas of the upper atmosphere that are being heated by the HAARP antennas. So anyway, this is the most alarming amount of red I have ever seen. I've been studying this for, like I said, about 4 or 5 years. I've been watching this stuff, not so much on and off, pretty steady, not every day, but I watch this stuff all the time. So what you're looking at there is, like I said, last Thursday or so, whatever the date is down there, the 13th, a couple days ago, whatever it was, and that right over New York State, just below, right about where I am. It's just going up a little bit of the lower part of New York State right there. That's where I am, right? And so you can see the red, just the intense bombardment over to the left up in New York, right up in the center of New York, not down in the city, up higher toward Buffalo. You know what I mean? Up that way.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, right in there. Yeah, right in there. Right at the top of the red there, right there. That's about where I am. So that explains why everybody was having such a hard time breathing. This is a website you can go to anytime. You can look at the water vapor view. You can look at the speed of the wind view. You can look at direction of the wind. There are all kinds of things. It's really a fascinating thing to keep track of, because you'll start seeing where the spraying is being done, and you can tell what they're trying to do with the sprays by how the storm systems move around. And what I've noticed, not to get off on a tangent here, I've noticed over the last, say, 2 or 3 months that what these SOBs have been able to do is they're bringing up moisture from around Texas and the Gulf. They swing it up through Arkansas, Kentucky, and that, and then they're bringing down cold from around, Wisconsin and Michigan and Dakotas and that. The two meet up right around, say, New York City. And what they've been able to do is cause a counterclockwise, an absolutely huge counterclockwise swirl above not only New England, but also up in Canada. And they were able to keep that in place for about 2 months. And that's why it's been so gloomy and dark and cold, is because they've been able to keep the moisture coming up. They pull it up north, and then they bring it back down again, and they have clouds mixed in with it all. So it's cloudy, and it's rainy, and it's just drizzly and cold. So anyway, I watch this stuff, and it's incredible. It's fascinating as it is horrifying. Anyway, enough with that picture. Take a look at that if you folks want to see what I'm talking about. It's absolutely amazing what they're doing with these storm systems.
Yeah, for those who are interested, I mentioned Jamestown, New York a lot because that's where I lived. That's where I lived when I learned about chemtrails in 2005. That's when I first started experiencing them. And Jamestown is right about there. Maybe about there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Buffalo is about due north, right up about here. So I was right about there, and boy, did they spray hard. I mean, I I was in bad shape, and that's why I moved so quickly. I moved to Maine to get away from it. Okay, here's the next photo. Let me know when you see that.
Interestingly about that too, Russ, that picture right there is one of the earlier ones. So you can see that was earlier in the day, and it progressed to more and more red to the picture that we just saw. So this one's earlier in the day than the other one they were just looking at. So you can see where they're just starting to spray. And from what Bruce Douglas talks about in his he gives a speech is what he's doing, and he talks about these views of these weather systems and stuff. And what he is professing is that they're not just spraying chemtrails like the typical trails that we see. He calls the newer things that he's observing chem bombs. And he's saying that what they do is they actually launch missile type things up into the atmosphere that explode with the chemicals. And that might explain why people in quite a few states across the country have been complaining about hearing explosions over the last, say, 6 months or so. He's saying that those very well may be these missiles being launched up into the air and they're exploding in the upper atmosphere. And that's what I believe we're looking at with not just this picture, but the one before it. Those big, huge red plumes aren't just trails that planes were able to spray. You know, those are massive explosions being caused by actual missiles that are being launched. That's what he's talking about, and I'm following that. So anyway, next picture.
Okay.
Okay, that's just another one. Now you can somewhat see the swirl that I'm talking about. It goes straight up from where your circle is there. Right over from there, go to the right now. See how you over to the right, go way over to the right where the blue and yellow is. Further, keep going. See where the blue is over to the right? Yeah, right in there. If you kind of circle counterclockwise in a fairly large circle, bigger than that, keep going, bigger. Way up to the top. There you go. That's where the swirl has been that they've been able to keep in place, and it goes, there you go, right around there. They've been able to keep that swirl. Now, if you look at right there where you just went, see the thin line right across there? No, go back down by Florida.
Okay, yeah, there's about a 15-second delay, so... All right, so I'm down by Florida.
Yeah, see the thin line of clouds, the yellow and blue going like just off the south end of Florida, and then a little farther down south. Follow that line straight across.
Yep. Okay.
Go to the right.
Yep.
Go to the right.
Yep.
So the next line up. There you go. That line right there. That's another line of chemtrails, likely from airplanes, that are keeping that upper swirl up where it is. They're spraying down around Texas. You can see all the yellow area there, and then that whole line that goes straight across. Those are chemtrails that are intensely being sprayed to keep that swirl aloft so that it can't come down and break apart. Okay, so anyway, it's amazing to be able to look at this stuff, and you start to understand what's actually happening. You can tell the what do they call it, undulations or whatever in the area you just were, with those weird looking white. Those aren't like natural looking clouds down just to the right of Texas over there between Florida and Texas.
Oh yeah, where I was zooming in here. I've zoomed back in. Okay. Yep.
Right. Those are, they call those what, undulations or whatever, and you can tell that those are chemtrails. If you, like you said, Russ, after a while you can start to notice chemtrails versus real clouds.
Yeah, you can see all the straight lines. If you look, the resolution's a little bit low, but you can see all these straight lines crisscrossing and going through here. You know, just amazing.
Yes, it is. So you can watch that daily. You can watch all the weather patterns. You can see them everywhere. You know, the West Coast and Puerto Rico and Guam and a lot of places. Pretty neat stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Here's the next one. Takes 10 or 15 seconds.
Okay. That, oddly enough, I don't know what to make of this. I won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but I went out one night and I had to drop a buddy of mine off like an hour away. It was like midnight or whatever. We had been working on my car or whatever. And so on my way back, I ended up listening to Coast to Coast radio that came out at midnight. And they were talking about chemtrails and all these oddities that were going on, and I'm very, very interested in this stuff, obviously. So when I got home, I started to notice like these weird white colored areas that were floating above my house. The whole sky was pitch black because there were so many clouds. I live out in the middle of nowhere. There's no lights out here, no cities, no nothing. It's pitch black out here. And there were a lot of clouds, so you couldn't see anything, the stars, moon, nothing. And then all of a sudden these really intensely bleach white clouds came floating over my house, and I thought, that's really odd. So I went inside and I got on weather.com and started to take snapshots, and then all of a sudden I came across that streak up there. And I don't know what to make of that, Russ. I don't know if you do, but that came out of quite a few of the frames. That stayed there for a while, and I never knew what to make of that. I don't know if that's like a harp ring. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was a harp signal being sent that I just happened to have caught or what. But that was on numerous different websites that I looked at for that particular collection they've analyzed, has proven that those were man-made, that they had harp facilities out there that were sending vibrations into the ground, and they were able to cause those earthquakes. And if that is indeed the case, you have to look at that and understand that that really is crimes against humanity. And so, anyway, that's sort of the level that I'm getting into this on. You know, I kind of wonder if I shouldn't get into law as far as being involved with this or whatever. Anyway, that's just another picture of that same arc. It's just pulled farther out. You can see how long the thing is.
And again, to the young people out there, don't be, understand that this whole concept of creating earthquakes is a technology that we know the government was working on for a while. And we know that you can create earthquakes by vibrating the ground essentially with instruments like this, and you eventually cause slippage in the plates, and earthquakes result. You're just causing them to happen before they naturally would, I guess, and you're exaggerating the amplitude. I think. I mean, basically.
Yeah. Well, they know for a fact. They know what the frequencies of earthquakes are. Every earthquake, whether man-made or natural, each one actually has a different footprint. It has a different way to determine that it's man-made or it's natural based on what the frequency is of the movement of the ground. And what the people with HARP understand is that man-made earthquakes operate, I think, at like 2 hertz, which is an exceptionally low hum. And they make the ground hum until those plates break apart. And, you know, interestingly, just a quick fact on the Japanese quake with these guys, and I can send you guys these web pages if you want to know. You can email me or whatever. But what these guys study, these guys, this is all they do, and they're not trying to make money off this. They're not bullshitters. So I think I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, swearing your recording. But what they said, for example, Russ, is that they're you can see graphs on the internet. You can look this up. I'm not making this up. It's all over the internet. You can see the graphs and pictures and stuff. 2 days before the Japanese earthquake triggered, there was a 2 hertz hum, exactly 2 hertz hum, that was constant for 2 days prior to that earthquake. And when the earthquake triggered, whatever the source was of that 2 hertz hum, which was the HARP facility, they actually have a mobile HARP facility. You can see pictures all over the internet. But they were sending the signal down into the ground from a mobile HARP facility that was out in the ocean. That's what they're saying caused the earthquake in the first place. And the interesting thing about that is that they know also that tsunami waves always travel the same exact speed. They know exactly when a tsunami should hit land based on when the earthquake occurred. They know how to time it based on the distance away the land is, because the tsunami waves always travel at the exact same speed. When the Japanese earthquake was triggered, the tsunami wave should have hit land within like 10 minutes, and it didn't. It took 20 minutes for a tsunami wave to hit the coast of Japan. And what they said was that there was a secondary explosion shortly after the earthquake was triggered, a massive explosion underground that then was the actual cause of the tsunami wave, because after that secondary explosion went off, they timed it, and the tsunami wave hit the coast of Japan exactly at the time they would have thought, based on the later explosion and not the time frame that the earthquake would have triggered. It should have gotten to the land a lot sooner than it did if the tsunami was caused by the earthquake. Anyway, it's fascinating reading if you guys want to get into it. Anyway, this picture was taken in Philadelphia. I travel quite a bit, and I've been able to witness these trails and things in a lot of different places, and that's where I started to understand that this not only isn't just here where I live, but it also is real. You know, I wouldn't see lines all over the place in different states and things. I didn't think anyway. If it wasn't some phenomenon that was very odd. But anyway, you can see the sun's going down, and you can just above that, all that hazy stuff was this brown, like fog. It was like a brownish black fog, and it was just so metallic smelling. It was horrifying. You can see the ring up there, and that's very characteristic of chemicals in the air. When you see halos, brown halos especially around the sun, or inverted like that one is up at the top up there, right? See up there you go. Those, you can tell that those are, you've got very heavy chemicals in the air that are being sprayed. That was just one picture I just happened to have caught when I was in Philly.
Yeah, I'll testify to that as well. This particular type of halo that I see, since I can smell and taste chemtrails, I've written some articles about this. I feel obligated to do that, even though only a small percentage of people seem to be able to taste and smell. But I think that's growing. As people become more toxic, they become more sensitive to them. This particular type halo artifact has only appeared when the acetone type chemtrail was in the air. Now they often mix the chemtrail types together. So so the acetone type may take half an hour to get to the ground, or it may take longer. I don't know. But what I have experienced is that whenever I've seen this kind of an artifact, especially the halos around the sun, those have always occurred when there was an acetone type taste and smell in the air. Very strong. It's like fingernail polish. Very, very strong.
Yep.
All right, here's a big shot of it here. Let me try to get the whole thing in here.
That's another one. That's around the sun this time. The other one was the halo was above the sun. This was around the sun as the sun was coming up in the morning.
Once again,
you see something like that, and you feel like you're dead or something. You know, it's disturbing right there.
It is disturbing, and the young people who have seen this all your lives, coming from a not young person right now, I want to just tell you, I've watched the sky all my life. Jets and rockets have been my favorite things, and throughout my life, I used to collect pictures of them when I was younger. Never, ever have I ever seen this artifact until after chemtrail spraying started. Never. Never saw a picture of one. Never saw one in real life, and I've watched the sky all my life. Now I see them all the time. So don't let them teach you that this stuff is normal and common. It's always been around. And don't even, they may show you photographs and say, look, this photograph was taken back in 1964. No, it wasn't. You don't know when it was taken. I've seen all the time where they fake stuff, they lie. You have to be critical of everything that you watch. Just don't accept it blindly.
That's the critical part of it, Russ, is you have to look at everything that you see and everything that you hear, and you have to question it when it comes from the people that you need to start being careful with or afraid of.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I'm 53 years old, so I'm not a spring chicken either. I'm the same way. I never saw this when I was a kid, ever.
Yeah, I never saw this stuff till 2005 is when I first started seeing this. I saw chemtrails in 2003. That was the first time out in at El Capitan, and 2005 is when I saw regular daily chemtrail spraying started, and that's when my health problems started. That's when I started smelling and tasting the metal in the air and had immediate inflammatory reaction, and also started seeing these artifacts.
Right. Now that one was just a little later, sun's a little higher, but if you go in the upper right area, you can see the trails that are being sprayed. That's why I took the picture the way I did. So in other words, you can tell this, even just above the sun going from left to right, you can see that big plume across there.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? You can tell that this is all chemtrails, in other words. That's why I tried to take this picture, was to show the actual lines in there, that this wasn't just some anomaly or something. The halo was being caused by these chemtrails. That's why I took that picture.
In fact, after years of watching the sky, I will say that everything you see in the sky came from chemtrails. You see a plume back here, you see a plume here, you see a plume here. These are all spread out because they're old. Here's a younger one. It's skinny, but it'll spread out too. All this, there's nothing natural about this. This is all artificial stuff in the air.
Yep.
All right, here's another shot. Should be up in a second. All right. Are you seeing that?
Okay. Yeah. Now that's a shot that I took when I had just gotten out of work up in Rochester, and it had been raining all day. There were clouds everywhere, and then all of a sudden, just late in the day, a high pressure system came in and revealed all the spraying that was being done above the clouds. Right. So don't, again, speaking to anybody out there, don't assume that just because there are clouds there that there aren't planes above that spraying chemicals to maybe be seeding the clouds to make it rain more or poison us more or whatever. Now, I don't know if the next picture, if Russ, can you see just to the 45 degrees to the upper left from that light, the top of the light post there? Can you see the chemtrail that curves almost 90 degrees?
Oh, sorry, I went to the next picture already. Okay, I'm back to the previous. Yeah, I see the one that goes through the light post, so wait till it comes back up on the stream when you see it there.
Yep.
Yep.
You can see the one that curves almost 90 degrees. You see what I'm talking about? Go to 45 degrees to the upper left.
45 degrees to the upper left. Up here? Oh, this one right here. I see. This one right here, yeah.
No, the one right next to it. The one to the right of where you are. You see almost the 90, no, lower.
Lower.
See the curve right there? Do you see that? I had a closer up picture, but I wasn't able to send that.
Well, let me zoom in. Are you talking about this curve right there?
Yeah. That's, again, you just look at that and say, what the heck is that? If that was a commercial airliner, you wouldn't have them turning like that, Yeah. They're just telltale signs that people can say, oh, those are just, trails from the exhaust of an airplane. It's like, no commercial airliner is going to be forced to make a 90-degree turn, and it just doesn't happen.
And not only that, again, to the people who are not familiar with watching the sky, I've watched sky all my life. I've lived on military bases. I've traveled across the United States. I've flown across the United States. I used to fly up north and south every year when I was younger. I almost always had the window seat. And I just testify to you, I have never in my life, everywhere in fact, most of my family has skydived. I've gone up on in drop zones and watched, and been in the planes where they drop the parachuters out. I've gone to Zephyr Hills, has one of the busiest drop zones in the United States. So I used to go to Zephyr Hills and watch the parachuters and watch my family jump. Never, not once have I ever seen a trail come out of a jet engine. Never. Now, 49 out of 50, that is my estimate of the actual number. 49 out of 50 jets I see in the sky have a trail coming out of them. Okay, here's the next picture.
Yeah, that's, again, you can tell that's completely chemtrails. I don't see a natural cloud in that clump at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Here's the next one. This is the kind of gray out that in 2010, 2009 we saw every day in Maine. And the Boston Globe did an article revealing that we had the dimmest summer in history, and they're all blaming it on nature. It has nothing to do with nature. The jets, I'd watch them. I work out of my home. I look out the window all day long. The jets would come, fill the sky with this stuff, and create this exact condition.
Yeah, and it's pretty awful to look at once you do recognize it. It's pretty horrifying, really, to look at it and know there's nothing you can do about it, short of trying to be inside or whatever.
Yeah.
That might be the last picture. I don't remember how many sent to you.
Yep, that's the last one it looks like, because we went back to the
first.
And
Interestingly, one last thing, if I might, I'm sorry for taking so much time, but
no problem.
I got one of the things that HARP, the HARP facility does, and for those maybe people don't know what HARP actually is, it's a huge array of like 120 or whatever 60-foot tall antennas that are built on a grid up in Alaska, and they're smaller facilities across the planet. But what they do is they aim the antennas all up to a single point in the upper atmosphere, and they heat the upper atmosphere. And so they're able to cause the ionization and the electrical balances of magnetism and that kind of thing in that level of the atmosphere. They're able to change those things, and through that they can manipulate weather systems, and they can bounce low frequency waves off the chemtrails and clouds and things, and communicate with submarines underground and whatever. Anyway, one of the things, Russ, that I've discovered is my wife and I ended up recently getting an air filter. It was a higher end air filter, and it has an ionizer on it. And what HARP does with with some of the experiments that they do, they change the upper atmosphere to be more I believe positively charged. They're positively charged ions, and if when humans are in a positively charged ion atmosphere, it's known to cause ill feeling and lethargy. You just feel lethargic. You feel tired all the time. You just feel like crap. You just don't want to do anything. You have no energy, and it's just based on the ionization of the air around you. When you're able to get in ionization that's, I believe, negative, that makes you lively and it makes you feel just phenomenal. You have all kinds of energy. So this filter is commercial. It's pretty good size. It was like $400 or whatever, pretty high-end unit. But it has an ionizer in it that changes the ionization in the air, and I swear I can tell the difference. The air is so much cleaner because it's a massive HEPA filter. It's a 3-stage filter. A lot of the junk, just plain stuff that you breathe in your house that's stagnant anyway, gets filtered out of the air. But it's also changing the ionization in the air to be more of what makes your body feel like it's alive. And I can't tell you how good I feel having gotten that thing with cleaner air and the ionization change with nutritionally treating myself to good things,
Well, do you you want to share with us what that is? I mean, you don't have any financial interest in this air ionizer, right?
Yeah. No, it's I think it's a rabbit air, just like it sounds like a rabbit, RABBITAIR. And it's the high-end unit that they have. I don't know what the model number is. I could always find it if somebody wanted to see it.
Okay, because I'm very interested in that, in units. I've tested units myself since I can taste and smell chemtrails. And just so I know people who are with me are on these programs all the time, hear this all the time, haven't had any luck with HEPA filters. HEPA filters have had no effect on them for us. But I have had luck with water-based to some degree. But I have been very interested in two technologies, and one of them is ionization. If you are able to charge the particles or charge the air and the particles oppositely and let them be attracted to a plate, you might have something interesting there where you could get those nanoparticles out. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So that one works for you?
Pretty neat stuff.
And it's called
I just had a hip replacement. I've had all kinds of stuff that I've been through the past year, and coming out of all this stuff, I can't tell you how alive I feel. I'm so on top of my game. I love life. I feel fabulous. I still get headaches when they bombard us with chemicals, but it just, to me, it's just a testament to having the right things at the right place. Like I said, nutrition, trying to eat and sleep well, and trying to get stress out of your life, as well as treating yourself to real good nutrition. I make my own almond milk, for example. I buy almonds and, soak them in water and go through the process of making my own almond milk. And I take a lot of vitamin D, which were, one of the offshoots of especially being up in the Northeast and with the chemtrail spraying that they're doing, we don't get enough vitamin D, which is critically important for your immune system. So I load up pretty heavily, not overboard, but I take quite a bit of vitamin D, vitamin A, fish oil for the skin, so I don't have dry skin. I mean, it's pretty amazing what you can achieve as far as health, just through nutrition alone. But like you add to, say an air filter, I've got 6 animals, 5 cats and a dog. So I've got a lot of dander in the air, but this filter's taking a lot of that stuff out that normally I'm breathing. But it also, like I said, has the ionizer, and I have it right next to me when I'm sitting watching television, and I just feel phenomenal. My metabolism is cruising, and I feel terrific. I sleep well. It's pretty neat, and I do attribute it to a combination, I think, of all those things. And just real quick, thanks everybody. If there's anybody still on the call, I hope everybody didn't drop off. But I just want to say, Russ, that half-kiddingly, and I'm going to actually do this, I'd love to have a bumper sticker made that says, "I don't see dead people, I see chemtrails."
Okay. Well, there you go. And I want to tell anyone, if you want to make a bumper sticker, go to buildasign.com. This is where we get our printing done, buildasign.com. And you can design a bumper sticker right on their designer, on their website, and they're pretty reasonable. So it's kind of cool. So make up some bumper stickers, absolutely.
Just might do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I hope, please.
Is somebody still on?
Yeah, actually, just about everybody's still on. Nobody left. So
Great.
yeah, so you're very interesting. I'd love to talk to you more. I mean, you have a lot of great information. We might need to have you come back and do a solo act for us here.
I would, some Russ, I'll tell you what, I'm so motivated and passionate about this. I've actually thought about going solo, and going out and giving speeches to people about this. That's how into this I am. This is my life now, if that would make sense to anybody. I'm a network engineer. I've got a master's degree, not that any of this matters, but this is something I've gravitated toward. I can't let it go. I need to be part of what's going to at least help people live better, if not help to stop the stuff, if that's at all a possibility in the future. So I'd be glad to talk about anything or answer questions. My email address, if you guys want to take it down, is ipragmatist.com at gmail.com. ipragmatist, ipragmatist at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you guys, and like I said, I've got dozens, if not probably even hundreds, of just remarkable websites in addition to Russ's that'll set you on a trajectory to really start understanding as deeply as you want to go what's going on with the whole big picture. Because again, it's not just chemtrails; it's fluoride, aluminum, it's all kinds of poisons in the plastics that we're drinking. We're having aluminum leach into beer cans or soda cans, or if you can your own food, you're getting aluminum in your food. You're getting fluoride through your toothpaste. They're putting fluoride in the water. There's fluoride now in things like cheese and your antiperspirant and on and on. And these things, you start reading enough of this stuff, you start connecting the dots, and you really start getting a sense of the enormity, the massivity of what's actually going on. And I'll tell you something, Russ. I think the average person doesn't understand. It can't grasp that not only the massiveness of all the stuff that's going on, but I think the thing that really sets people off where they don't necessarily believe the type of stuff that we're talking about is because this stuff is incredibly blatantly and openly put right in front of us, right?
Yeah.
They're spraying chemtrails, and how many people look up and say, what the heck is that? How could people not look up and notice all these lines in the sky? And yet, if you bring it to their attention, most people look up and say, oh, that's just exhaust from an airplane. You got to look at that and say, why does it alarm me and it doesn't alarm other people? These things, again, I think it was Rob or somebody was talking earlier about like vaccines and stuff. It's known that there's mercury in the vaccines. Why would anybody get a vaccine? Why would you put mercury in your system? Right? So anyway, it's just huge what's going on. It's being done by a lot of the same people, a lot of the same departments of government, military, whatever. And it's up to us to take initiative. Russ, I think you alluded to it, that we all need to grow up and stop looking at this thing we call the American way of life and the American dream and this stuff. We need to start looking at this and start realizing that there are enemies out there who don't like the way we live or whatever. You can word it any way you want. The fact of the matter is there's a major assault going on, and we don't necessarily have the answers. We don't know necessarily who's doing it all or whatever. And that's why it's incumbent upon us to get out there and start busting our humps to figure this stuff out, because if we don't stop it, we've got some serious problems into the future. Anyway, sorry I'm so long-winded, everybody. I'm obviously very passionate about this stuff. I'm very, very upset about this, and I'm trying so hard to help myself as well as others.
No, I really appreciate it. It's been great. I mean, we've had almost everybody who was on is still on listening, so that's
fantastic.
Great.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for letting me take so much time. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no problem. Please contact me. Let's talk some more.
I will. Thank you, Russ.
All right, you take care. Thank you so much for all that information. If anybody else wants to chat, now's the time to press *6 on your phone. You're welcome to pitch in. I know it's late, so we're going to wrap this up in just a second. But any last words anybody wants to contribute, just press *6. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Do want to remind you that next Monday we are going to have a special Monday night. It's going to be the same time, but I want to have people who are preparing for the 24th demonstrations all over the United States and the world. If you want to get on and make your last appeal to everyone to come show up at in Portland, Maine, or Seattle, Washington, or Paducah, Kentucky, or wherever you are, Come on, I'll give you 5 minutes and talk about what you're doing, where you're going to be doing it, and I would just love to have everybody give their plug for what's going on, so we can get as many people as possible um, to to get their event organized. The 20th and the 24th are the two upcoming dates where the 20th, the Australian chemtrail geoengineering groups are calling for protests across the world. And on the 24th, now the 20th is a Saturday, on the 24th, the San Francisco groups, we had Kelly Dougherty on here a couple weeks ago. You need to go back and listen to the recordings. Go to globalskywatch.com/live and look at recorded meetings and look for Kelly Dougherty. She's articulate, she's passionate, very well spoken, was a joy to talk to, warm, wonderful person who founded and co-organized the San Francisco protests that were last month that were tremendously successful. People honking, shouting out their windows, saying thank you for what you're doing. People on the sides of the streets taking brochures and thanking them, talking to them. Very successful event, very positive, very empowering. So please go listen to that previous meeting. Again, globalskywatch.com/live. Next week, again, have anybody who wants to put in their 5 minutes and call people for their particular area, or if there's anything we can do during the week. We will also go to Global Skywatch and look in the left, globalskywatch.com, and look in the left sidebar. There is a calendar of events, and it is just packed full. April is packed full. It's amazing. It's never been like this. Go log on to the Global Skywatch forum, and you have to be approved. It's a manual approval process, so it may take you, 12 hours before you're approved, but just sign up. When your approval comes through to join, then you can put stuff on the calendar whenever you want, any of your events. And that calendar is publicized and posted all over all the time, and it appears in several different locations. So please utilize that to help spread your what's going on with your events. Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this Monday night meeting. This is the first night that we've used live stream. So in the future, if you want to come to the live stream site, you can come two different ways. You can come directly by typing GSW, stands for Global Skywatch.bz, like boy zebra, /live. So gsw.bz/live will bring you right to the live stream video page where you can watch our event live and listen live. And so far, it looks like our audio and video has been perfect for the first time. So thank you. This is the first time we used live stream. We wanted to see how it went. We tested it extensively yesterday for hours and hours, and it looks like our first go has been perfect. So I'm very happy to say that. If you want to go another way to get to the live stream and to get all of the previously recorded programs is go to globalskywatch.com/live, and also check out our Facebook group. It's called Chemtrails Global Skywatch. All right, this has been the longest, I believe, night we've ever had, packed full of information, and I'm grateful for everybody who participated with Helen, Mark. Kim, you jumped on. Rob, thank you for being with us. I think we've got some big plans that are going to happen in the future. We're going to have some video programs. We're going to have things going on. But please don't let this put you to sleep. Please don't let this make you think that suddenly everything's okay and the problem is being solved, because it is not. How fast we solve chemtrails, how fast people stop suffering, how fast people and animals and plants stop dying is up to you. Are you going to put a bumper sticker on your car? Are you going to put a yard sign in your yard? Are you going to put a sticky on your window? Are you going to wear apparel that talks about chemtrails? We need to get this information out to the public. They are beginning to respond more positively than ever before. We're rounding the exponential curve, but you have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and getting this information out there so we can raise enough public awareness so we will have the political clout that we need to put an end to this. It's all up to you. Thanks everybody for being on. Next Monday night, 8:30, we'll do it again, preparing for the 24th, for the protests coming up on the 24th. Thank you. Good night.
Your conference recording has stopped. Q&A session is over.
Okay, we've got open mic right now. Everybody's on, and I will, I guess I'll stop the live stream this session, and I'll restart it in just a second for people who want to listen in. So here we go.